Chapter 270. The Genius Stay-at-Home Dad in the City. Chapter 270. Long Men Convention. CMS. Add a bookmark. Chapter 270. Chapter 270. Long Men Convention. 3 p.m. The geographical vein was located? Yi Chen was secretly shocked. Before this, he was just casually making a request to Old Chen. He did not have high hopes for it. Never had he thought that Old Chen would find it so soon. No wonder he was the second in command of the military. No matter how calm he was, he could not help but feel a little excited. As soon as he found the geographical vein, he would definitely be able to recover to foundation building. By then, he would have more techniques. After hanging up, Yi Chen got Yi Wushuang to stay at home while he walked to the military courtyard alone. Old Chen was studying a map in his military coat. He got Yi Chen to sit down as soon as he saw him. To Yi Chen's surprise, Qin Xiaotian, who was known as the Zongnanhai Madman, was not around. One must know that he was Old Chen's bodyguard. Seemingly sensing his doubt, Old Chen said, "Something happened to Qin Yao, so Xiaotian went to help her." Qin Yao? The name reminded Yi Chen of the lady who had a misunderstanding with him on the military ship earlier. Qin Xiaotian's surname was Qin too. Clearly, they were brother and sister. Yi Chen came to a realization. It was no wonder that Qin Xiaotian was hostile toward him when he first saw him. He even took the initiative to pick a fight with him. "You're really good at stirring up trouble." Old Chen glanced at him with a grim expression and said with a fake smile, "You kill wherever you go. You don't stop at all. First, it was the Su family, and now it's the Martial Alliance. Do you know how many times I've taken the blame for you and how many times I've cleaned up after you?" The old master had the urge to shoot Yi Chen. However, he realized that Yi Chen's body was powerful and he was known as the physique master. It seemed like bullets could not hurt him at all. "You can't blame me for that. I won't attack people if they don't attack me." Yi Chen smiled calmly. Please pay attention to your eyes when you read for a long time. Recommended reading. Old Chen scoffed and turned around to pick up a document from the table. He tossed it to Yi Chen. Yi Chen took it and took a look. He realized it was a letter of appointment for the position of the Firearms Division's chief instructor. There were all sorts of clauses listed on it, such as a confidentiality agreement. Yi Chen put him aside after taking a glance at him. He said at a speed that was neither fast nor slow, "Old Chen, didn't you promise to tell me the location of the geographical vein?" Back when he agreed to join the Divine Arms Battalion, he mentioned 3 conditions. The first was that the Divine Arms Battalion would not restrain him. The second was that they would help him find the location of the Earth vein. The third was to find Su Yuhan's whereabouts. Now that Yi Chen had completed the first and third conditions, he still had no idea where the geographical vein was. That was the purpose of his visit today. "Don't worry. Since I asked you to sign, I definitely won't let you down." Old Chen passed the map that he had been studying to Yi Chen casually. Yi Chen glanced at it and realized that it was a map of Yiling. There was a circle marked at the edge of the map. He could not help but frown. "Shenangjia? Not bad." Old Chen nodded and said, "A sinkhole was discovered in Shenangjia recently. This sinkhole is different from other sinkholes. There's a sea of fire inside. The expert team found out that the fire in the sinkhole is burning all year round. It's been burning for at least 2,000 years. It's been burning for 2,000 years? Yi Chen's interest was piqued. That's right. This sinkhole was discovered by a tourist who lost his way. Theoretically, there are a couple of similar landforms. The fire is burning because there's oil underground or natural gas that's leaking out." Old Chen shook his head lightly as he spoke to this point. "However, this sinkhole is rather strange. The experts have been investigating it secretly for a long time. They didn't find any combustible such as oil, natural gas, or anything else. They couldn't figure out why the fire is burning all year round." Yi Chen secretly shook his head. He did not care about what old Chen said. Apart from natural gas, oil, and other combustibles that could keep the fire burning, there was another possibility. The sinkhole was nurturing fire essence. The so-called fire essence was the purest and most primitive fire seed. Not only would it not be extinguished, but it could also keep burning and grow. A place like this was the geographical vein that Yi Chen needed. At this time, Senior Chen said, "This sinkhole is slightly similar to the ley line you mentioned before. That's why I asked you to confirm it." "There's no need to confirm it. It must be." Yi Chen shook his head and smiled. Subsequently, he took the letter of appointment for the Firearms Division's chief instructor and signed his name right away, Yi Chen. Old Chen's expression finally eased up upon seeing that. He handed a Firearms Division ID to Yi Chen and extended his arm while smiling. "Congratulations on joining the Firearms Division, Major General Yi. From today onward, you're the chief instructor of the Firearms Division." Speaking of this, Elder Chen sighed with emotion. In this peaceful era, it was easier said than done to become a major general. However, Yi Chen had become a major general at the age of 30. Moreover, he was a major general under the Special Forces Brigade. His authority and treatment were much higher than other places. Most importantly, he was the chief instructor of the Divine Strategy Battalion, leading the elites of the army. If news of this spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Yi Chen shook his hand and nodded lightly. There was not much excitement on his face. In reality, the sinkhole was what he cared about. Seeing his indifferent expression, old Chen almost died of anger. "Sometimes I wonder, you look young, but your temperament is different. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time." 00 recommended reading. Why was he so calm? Just like an old monster that has lived for 1,000 years. Yi Chen could not help but glance at him. He thought to himself, "You're right. I've really lived for over 3,000 years." Old Chen didn't notice his expression. Instead, he said, "This sinkhole is currently blocked. You can't go there for the time being. You'll have to wait for a month at the earliest." "It's all right." Yi Chen did not mind. He had many things to do at the moment. First, he had to go to Longxi to visit the Ghost Rider sect Mountain Gate. Secondly, he had to bring Su Yuhan home to get married. It would take about a month. "Oh right." At this moment, old Chen seemed to have thought of something. He said with a grave expression, "I suddenly remembered that the Longmen Convention will be held in Shenangjia in a month." "The Longmen Convention?" Yi Chen raised his brows slightly. The so-called Longmen Convention is a grand event in the spell world. It's held once every 3 years. People from the spell world will be participating, such as people from Mount Longhu, Mount Lao, and Hong Kong. Old Chen spoke confidently. In reality, the battle in the spell world is much more intense than the ancient martial arts world because it involves many sex ideals and inheritance disputes. For example, the Tibetan Buddhism is divided into the esoteric sect and the tantric sect. In Hong Kong, there's the southern sect and the northern sect. One could say that both parties are like fire and water. They've always wanted to unify the spell world to prove that their inheritance is the most authentic. Yi Chen came to a realization. So, the Longmen Convention is actually an exchange event in the spell world where both parties fight? Ever since he killed Sikongeo, he learned that apart from the ancient martial arts world, there was also the spell world. The ancient martial arts world corresponded to ancient martial artists, while the spell world corresponded to spell masters. That's right. I heard that Celestial Master Zhang from Mount Longhu, Shi Jizong, the monk from Nalanda Temple, and the leader of the southern sect, Dao Yuan, will be there too. Old Chen could not help but look at Yi Chen as he spoke to this point. The few of them have unfathomable spells. Their reputation in the spell world is on par with your reputation in the ancient martial arts world. Since your identity as a spell master might be leaked, I'd like to remind you not to have any conflict with them. As long as they don't offend me, naturally, I won't offend them. Yi Chen said nonchalantly with his arms behind his back. If these people provoked him, he would definitely not hold back, no matter how great the flood surged. P.S. I'm not feeling well. It's midnight today. Chapter 271. Old Chen asked while smiling when he saw Yi Chen sign the letter. Since you're the chief instructor of the firearms division now, do you want me to get someone to bring you to the firearms division's headquarters to introduce you to everyone? He could not wait for Yi Chen to take up the position immediately. After all, the annual military competition was coming soon. Meanwhile, the firearms division had been ranked last for the past 2 years. Naturally, it would be better for them to start training as soon as possible. I don't want to go for now. Yi Chen shook his head. I'm going to Longxi in Ganzhou. I don't have time for now. Let's wait for some time. Old Chen was rather disappointed, but he did not mind. He asked again. Oh yeah, since Sikong Ao died, the Martial Alliance chief position is vacant. Do you want to take it? To the ancient martial world, the position of the Martial Alliance chief was no different from an ancient emperor. As soon as one took the position, one would definitely rule the ancient martial world in China. Apart from Yi Chen, it was only natural that ordinary people would not be qualified for this position. After all, he could even kill Sikong Ao. He was undoubtedly the number one in China. It's boring. Let whoever wants to be the chief. Yi Chen said nonchalantly and left the military courtyard in a carefree manner. The corner of Old Chen's lips twitched hard as he watched him leave. It's boring? I'm just afraid that you'll kill someone else to be the chief. The next morning, Yi Chen and the rest woke up early. Since they were going to Longxi today, the Ghost Rider Sect Mountain Gate had been delayed for a long time. Su Yuhan rummaged through her clothes and looked at herself in the mirror. She would turn her head to look at Yi Chen every now and then and say, "Dummy, what do you think about me wearing this?" A certain lady was very happy. She had been locked up by the Su family for over 2 years and had little contact with the outside world. Yi Chen had basically been staying at home for the past few days since he rescued her. She had never gone out to play. Now that Yi Chen was bringing her on a trip, it was no different from traveling the world as a family. How could she not be happy? Yi Chen said in between tears and laughter when he saw her anticipating gaze, "You look good in anything, but it's a little bad. What's wrong with it?" Su Yuhan turned around and looked at him with a smile. There was killing intent in her beautiful eyes as if she was saying, "Try saying that if you dare." The bad thing is that it's too beautiful. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and said in all seriousness, "You're dressed so beautifully. It's very stressful for me to walk with you. It's very annoying. Moreover, I don't like other men to keep staring at you." Fool, so you're actually this straight? But you seem to be right. After all, I'm hot and beautiful. Su Yuhan giggled happily. Yi Chen walked over and pinched her face with his supernatural power. He said a while later, "All right, look at me now." She looked into the mirror by instinct and cursed, "Bastard, you've made me so much uglier. My skin has turned yellow and my chin is bigger." If her appearance could be rated 10 points before, now it was only left with 7 points. This score could still be considered a beauty, but compared to before, the difference was too big. "Don't worry, I'll change you back when we get back. Besides, it's pretty good. This way, we won't have a lot of trouble along the way." Yi Chen, on the other hand, nodded in satisfaction. He would really be annoying if he brought a beauty along. Moreover, he did not want other men to look at his woman lustfully, so he could only pinch Su Yuhan's face for her. Su Yuhan rolled her eyes at him angrily, but she accepted the reality. When the duo walked out of the room, they saw Yi Wushuang sitting on the couch, dressed neatly. He was still dressed in white. Together with his long hair, he looked like a young man in ancient times. Yi Chen thought about it and said, "Wushuang, you should change your look too. Try to look more like a modern man." "Brother, change my look?" Yi Wushuang was stunned. He had always dressed like that. Although he never changed his clothes or showered, since he was a sword spirit, his body was spotless. It did not matter whether he showered or not. That's right. Your brother made you look like this. Su Yuhan nodded and picked a photo of Wu Yifan in a suit from her phone to show him. She then returned to the room and passed the suit that she bought for Yi Chen to him. Yi Wushuang hesitated for a moment. Eventually, he suppressed the discomfort and returned to the room to change. Su Yuhan was dumbstruck when he came out. She saw a handsome man who was 1.8 meters tall with a buzz cut standing before her in a suit. He had a cold aura and was not girly at all. He was like an aloof Prince Charming in Korean dramas. Su Yuhan looked at him for a while and sighed softly. You're really handsome. I can't believe you look even more handsome in modern clothes. Wushuang, it's such a pity that you're not an actor. Otherwise, you'd be the nation's Prince Charming. I wonder how many ladies would fall for you. She glanced at Yi Chen wryly as she spoke to this point. If I'd met Wushuang earlier, you might have lost your chance. Yi Chen shook his head while smiling. He knew that Su Yuhan was joking with him on purpose. However, he was a little envious after Yi Wushuang changed his attire. He was even thinking if he should change his look too to make himself more handsome. However, he decided not to do that after thinking about it. I'm me. I'm different. Sis, you're up so early today. An incomparably lazy voice sounded. Then, the door to the next room opened and Su Yuwei walked out in a nightgown with sleepy eyes. However, in the next moment, she was completely stunned. She looked at Yi Wushuang blankly as disbelief filled her beautiful eyes. Why you, halfway through her words, she hurriedly returned to her room and only came out after 10 minutes of dressing herself up. Her cheeks were as red as a tomato. She dared not look at Yi Wushuang at all. Sister, are you guys going out? Yes, your brother-in-law wants to bring us to Ganzhou, Su Yuhan said while smiling. Su Yuwei subconsciously said, I want to go too. She peeked at Yi Wushuang secretly after saying that. To her disappointment, Yi Wushuang had no expression on his face. You don't have to go. We're going to take care of business. Yi Chen glanced at her. Initially, he only wanted to bring Su Yuhan there. However, he figured that his daughter would definitely not want to be separated from her parent. Moreover, Yi Wushuang would be with him 24 hours a day. Su Yuwei opened her mouth, but in the end, she did not dare to refute and could only hang her head in disappointment. Ever since the Su family was destroyed, one could say that she was filled with reverence for Yi Chen now. She dared not speak to him normally. Later on, Su Yuhan went to wake Meng Meng up. After urging her to wash up, the few of them headed straight to the airport after breakfast. 3 hours later, the plane landed at Ganzhou Airport. Yi Chen brought the mother and daughter to try Ganzhou's local Lanzhou ramen first. One must admit that women had no resistance when it came to delicious food. Su Yuhan was no exception. She turned into a foodie at any moment. No wonder Meng Meng inherited her genes. After staying for an hour, Yi Chen contacted a bus that was heading to Longxi. However, the seats in the bus were basically full. There were only 3 seats left in the last row, and there were 2 girls sitting by the window. As soon as he sat down, Yi Wushuang's appearance attracted many people's attention. At that moment, a quiet lady sitting by the window next to Yi Wushuang could not help but glance at him. She extended her hand to him in a friendly manner. Hello, my name is Yushasha. Chapter 272. Hearing this, Yi Chen, who was sitting on Yi Wushuang's left, could not help but glance at her. He saw that she was in her early 20s. She was pretty with a blush on her cheek. Beside her was another woman, who had fallen asleep on her companion's shoulder. Su Yuhan gave Yi Chen a wry look as if she was saying, Look, another chick is hitting on your brother. Yi Wushuang was unmoved by Yushasha's kindness, as if he did not see her extending her hand. Yushasha's smile froze, and she weakly withdrew her hand. She felt a little wronged. It was rare to see such a handsome man, but she didn't expect him to be so cold. Yi Chen said while smiling, My friend is a little unsociable. He doesn't like to talk to strangers. I hope you don't mind. Yi Chen glanced at Yi Wuxuang as he spoke to this point. Wuxuang, she's taking the initiative to greet you. You should at least respond. This kid was cold to everyone. He was going to be single for the rest of his life. Yi Wuxuang, Wuxuang said indifferently. After that, there was nothing else. It's all right. Yu Shasha shook her head immediately and smiled sweetly at Yi Chen. My name is Yu Shasha. Yi Chen. Yi Chen smiled lightly. Su Yuhan. Su Yuhan carried Meng Meng in her arms and introduced herself. The atmosphere became livelier. Yu Shasha took a good look at Yi Chen and the rest and said while smiling, Yi Chen, you guys aren't from Guangzhou, are you? I don't think you two have the same accent. No. Yi Chen began talking to her while Yi Wuxuang, on the other hand, was stuck in the middle and said nothing. Half an hour after the car had left, the woman beside Yu Shasha also woke up. She rubbed her eyes and revealed a pair of delicate wrists. Shasha, who are you talking to? Why are you smiling so happily? Yi Chen took a good look at her and realized that Yu Shasha's appearance was sweet enough. However, this lady was even more beautiful than Yu Shasha. She was comparable to Yan Ning, Xiaoya, and the rest. However, there was a hint of indifference on his face, and there was a hint of coldness between his brows. Sister Shui, you're awake. I'm talking to Yi Chen and the rest. Yu Shasha introduced Yi Chen and the rest to her with a smile. Yi Chen had just found out that her name was Murong Shui. She and Yu Shasha were Year 4 students at Lanzhou University. To avoid her suitors, she came out with her best friend during the summer break. Murong Shui began to take a good look at Yi Chen and the rest. She only took a quick glance at them after noticing that they were not outstanding. However, a hint of surprise flashed through her beautiful eyes when she noticed Yi Wuxuang. She took the initiative to nod lightly at him. However, Yi Wuxuang was even colder than her. He neither spoke nor nodded. Murong Shui frowned at his attitude. To her, Yi Wuxuang was indeed the most handsome and elegant man she had ever seen. However, Murong Shui did not think she was that shallow. A pretty face can't make a living. At most, it was worth a second glance. A man's greatest charm lies in whether he is successful, and the criteria for success are status, ability, and wealth. When she thought of this, Murong Shui looked away and said nothing. She lowered her head and began to play with her phone. Yi Chen did not mind. With Murong Shui's appearance, it was normal for her to be a little arrogant. On the other hand, Yu Shasha got along well with Yi Chen and the rest. She was chattering, and she was not scheming at all. The car stopped halfway when it passed by a village in the city. An old man got into the car. The old man looked to be approximately 60 years old. He had a pointy mouth and cheeks like a monkey's. The smell of alcohol filled the car as soon as he got in. For the first time, the driver turned his head and forced an extremely attentive smile. Master Ma, are you going to Longxi again? The old man nodded proudly. He did not even buy a ticket and grabbed the handrail directly. He said rather unhappily, Old Huang, are there no seats left? Oh, Master Ma, you're unlucky. All the seats are taken today. Why don't you hold on a little longer? We'll be arriving in half an hour. The driver smiled apologetically immediately. Bullsh *T, when did I not sit down when I came up? Since there's no seat, I'll think of a way to free one. The old man scoffed and began observing the situation in the car while grabbing the handrail. Everyone's expression tensed. They looked away immediately, trying their best not to look at him. They were all smart people. Judging from the driver's attitude toward the old man, they knew that he was not someone to be messed with. The old man smiled proudly and glanced at the last row. When he saw Yu Shasha and Murong Shui sitting by the window, his eyes lit up. His eyes lit up and he staggered over. He glanced coldly at Yi Wuxuang. Get up, young man. Yi Wuxuang glared at him coldly. He remained still and said nothing. Why do I want him to get up? Yi Chen frowned. Look at me. I'm so old. Shouldn't young people like you give up your seats to me? Respecting the old and loving the young is the traditional virtue that young people like you should follow, the old man said in a matter-of-fact manner. He had his eyes on Yushasha and Murong Shui, who were next to Yi Wushuang when he said that. A hint of lust flashed through his eyes. Sensing his gaze, Yushasha moved closer to Murong Shui by instinct. She held her breath hard. The reason being the old man was just too smelly. Yi Chen suddenly smiled upon hearing what the old man said. Is there a law that says young people must give up their seats to old people? What do you mean? The smile on the old man's face turned cold. Don't you guys respect the old and love the young? Don't you have any manners? What did your parents teach you? His voice was so loud that it attracted everyone's attention on the bus. Everyone chose to remain silent and watch the show. They were even secretly glad that the old man did not come to them. At that moment, the driver stopped the bus and turned his head to say, "Brother, please give up your seat to Master Ma." He even signaled Yi Chen with his eyes as he spoke. "Old man, let's talk nicely. Don't use moral coercion," Su Yuhan, who was carrying Meng Meng, could not help but say. She had heard that there would always be old people taking seats on the bus because of their seniority. Never had she thought that she would really encounter it. What moral coercion? The old man exploded as if he was triggered. He said while glaring at Su Yuhan angrily, "You're a mother too. Is this how you teach your child? You're such a bad mother." Su Yuhan was stunned. What's wrong with young people nowadays? Is it so hard to give up your seat to an old man like me? Is this the corruption of morality or the loss of humanity? The more the old man spoke, the angrier he got. If you guys don't give up your seat to me today, I'll get a reporter to report this. The people in the country will see your faces. Hearing that, Yushasha and Murong Shui were furious. At that moment, Yi Chen stood up and scoffed, "Old thing? Are you trying to compare your age with us? I'm thousands of years older than you. You're the one who should give up your seat to us. Don't use moral coercion every time you speak. It's our duty to give up our seat to you." Yi Chen sat down again after saying that. Yi Chen sat down again and said to Yi Wushuang, "Throw him out." The old man's expression changed as soon as he said that. The old man's expression changed. Yi Wushuang stood up and dragged him to the bus door. He tossed him out like he was tossing a dead dog. Everyone was dumbstruck. Yushasha and Murong Shui secretly cheered. The driver could not help but sigh. "Brother, you guys are in trouble." Chapter 273. Evil Stay-at-Home Dad in the City. Chapter 273. If you beg me, I can help you. Third update. Urban Romance GKICMS. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading straight face. Add a bookmark, recommend this book, Chapter 273. If you beg me, I can help you. 3 p.m. Godfather Ma is not someone to be trifled with. If you throw him out, he will definitely take revenge on you. The driver said to Yi Chen and Yi Wushuang while looking at them, "Little brothers, I'm advising you guys to get out of the car now. I can refund you the fare." As he spoke, he took out his wallet to look for change. "No need." Yi Chen smiled lightly. He got Yi Wushuang to throw the old man out purely to punish him. If he really wanted to take revenge, Yi Chen would not show any mercy. At that moment, Murong Shui, who had been quiet, seemed to have recalled something. She looked at Yi Chen and said, "I advise you guys to get out of the car now. You guys really can't afford to offend that old man." She had heard from others that there was often an old man in this area who would threaten women in the name of taking a ride in the car. It was useless even if the victims called the police. This old man must be Elder Ma from before. Yi Chen smiled and said nothing. Murong Shui frowned when she saw that he didn't seem to care at all. She snorted inwardly and looked away. "You don't know how to appreciate kindness." The driver shook his head. He had no choice but to restart the car and continue driving forward. He deliberately sped up. Yi Wushuang sat down again. Yu Shasha didn't think so much. Instead, she widened her eyes and looked at him curiously. You look like you're only 17 or 18, right? How can he be so strong? The scene of Yi Wuxuang tossing the old man away single-handedly shocked her. One must know that the old man was a fatty who weighed at least 150 kilograms. However, Yi Wuxuang lifted him with one hand. How strong must he be? Hearing this, Murong Shui could not help but glance at Yi Wuxuang. And please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading, BSB. She had noticed that Yi Wuxuang had mentioned the old man earlier. However, to her, Yi Wuxuang might have trained, which was why he was so strong. Such a person could only use brute force. He could deal with 1 or 2 ordinary people, but he would not be able to deal with 8 or 10 of them, let alone an ancient martial art practitioner. He was still too young and impulsive. She shook her head to herself. Yi Wuxuang said nothing to Yu Shasha's question. Yu Shasha was not mad either. After all, she knew Yi Wuxuang's character a little better. After driving for about 2 kilometers, the car suddenly stopped. Someone in the car asked subconsciously, "Sir, we haven't arrived yet. Why did you stop?" "Someone has set up a roadblock in front." The driver looked at the road ahead and smiled bitterly. What I was worried about still happened. Everyone subconsciously looked over. A few logs suddenly appeared in the middle of the road 10 meters ahead, blocking the way arrogantly. There were also 2 young men in black sleeveless shirts and slippers standing on the side of the road. Before the crowd could react, a series of intense accelerations came from the back of the car. Yi Chen sensed through his divine consciousness that 2 BMWs were driving over at high speed. Meanwhile, the old man that Yi Wuxuang had tossed out earlier was sitting in one of the cars. However, he had a vengeful smile on his face at the moment. The 2 cars drove directly to the front of the bus. Subsequently, over 10 men in suits and ties with steel pipes and machetes walked out of the cars. The leader was a young man with yellow hair. The yellow-haired young man held a baseball bat in his hand and walked toward the bus step by step. He hit the door of the bus with the bat and shouted, "Open the door! Who bullied my dad just now? Get out of the bus now!" Bang! The bat smashed the glass of the bus door directly. The glass shards scattered all over the ground, scaring the people in the bus into shrieking and shaking their heads. The bus driver shuddered and turned his head to look at Yi Chen. "Little brother, I asked you to get out of the bus earlier, but you didn't listen to me. That old man is his dad? How's that possible? If he had such a powerful son, would he still need to take the bus?" Yu Shasha said as her face turned pale. The driver said in exasperation, "What you guys don't know is that his name is Ma Bing. He's Godfather Ma's son. He used to be a local thug here, but due to the development, Ma Bing hooked up with a developer. He's now a local thug within 50 kilometers with tens of people under him. Although Godfather Ma doesn't live with Ma Bing, he's using his son's name to intimidate others. Even the county chief can't do anything to him." At this point, he paused for a moment and said, "To be precise, the county magistrate is afraid of the developer behind Ma Bing. It is said that his name is Brother Ba, and he is famous in Longxi. He has 10 construction teams under him and up to 1,000 people. These people are people who can carry bricks and kill people. Doesn't that mean that Yi Chen and the rest are doomed?" Yu Shasha's face turned pale. She looked at Murong Shui next to her and said immediately, "Sister Shui, what should we do? What should we do? Hurry up and think of a way." "Little brother, you're the one who caused this. It has nothing to do with us." "That's right. Get out now. We're on our way. Don't waste our time. Driver, open the door now. Get them out." The other passengers were shocked too. They began scolding Yi Chen and Yi Wuxuang one after another. They did not care what would happen to Yi Chen if he got out. Sister Shui? Reminder, please rest your eyes after reading for a long time. Recommended reading, Yu Shasha looked at Murong Shui with a begging expression. She really could not bear to see anything happen to Yi Chen and Wu Shuang. Murong Shui glared at Yi Chen coldly. I reminded you earlier out of kindness, but you didn't listen to me. Even Su Yuhan could not help but grab Yi Chen's hand. Yi Chen smiled calmly and got up to get out after patting her hand to get her mind at ease. Yi Chen, don't get out. They'll beat you to death, Yu Shasha said, feeling sorry for him. There were more than 10 people with Ma Bing, and all of them were armed. They were filled with killing intent. Yi Wushuang and Yi Chen were no match for them at all. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. Don't worry. They're just a bunch of trash. I'll come back after I'm done with them. Why are you still acting tough at a time like this? Murong Shui said angrily. There'll only be 2 outcomes for you when you get out. You'll either be beaten half to death or you'll have to kneel and kowtow to them. Sister Shui. Yu Shasha's expression changed. Murong Shui paused and said, but for Shasha's sake, I can help you if you beg me. Thank you for your kindness. Yi Chen got out of the car after saying that. Yi Wushuang followed after him. He would go wherever Yi Chen went. Su Yuhan followed him while carrying Meng Meng. Sister Shui, please help them. Yi Chen's wife and daughter are here. What if they hurt the kids by accident? Yu Shasha could not stop shaking Murong Shui's arm. Anxiety filled her face. Murong Shui was from the Murong clan. If she was willing to help, nobody in the entire Ganzhou would dare to offend them. Murong Shui rolled her eyes upon hearing that. Murong Shui rolled her eyes and said, Do you think I'm a god? I'm just a disciple from a branch of the Murong clan. They won't even know my name if I go down like this. Then, what should we do? Yu Shasha was almost crying. Murong Shui shook her head lightly as determination flashed through her face. Forget it. I'll help him this time. After saying that, she picked up her phone and made a call. P.S. There are 2 more chapters. Chapter 274. Murong Shui had come out this time to avoid her suitors. To avoid attracting attention, she did not drive. Instead, she chose to squeeze into the bus with Yu Shasha. To her, apart from Yi Wushuang, Yi Chen and the rest were dressed plainly, had an ordinary aura, and were squeezing into the bus. They must be ordinary people. Usually, people like them would not attract her attention. She would treat them as passers-by at most. Therefore, when Ma Bing brought his men to block the way, she did not have high hopes for Yi Chen. However, she could not resist her best friend Yu Shasha's begging. She could only agree to help Yi Chen reluctantly. That was why she chose to call the number that she was unwilling to make. The phone was picked up a few seconds after it rang. Subsequently, an impatient voice came from the other end. Who is this? Uncle Dong, it's me, Xiaoxue, Murong Shui said in her sweet voice after taking a light breath in. Xiaoxue. The person on the phone was a little surprised. Subsequently, he recognized her. Are you Xiaoxue from Murong Cheng's family? That's right. Murong Shui nodded immediately and said while smiling, That's me, Uncle Dong. You have such a good memory. The person gave a short response, but his attitude was not exactly friendly. Oh, it's you. Is there anything I can help you with? Uncle Dong, I'm at Shilatang now. There's a misunderstanding between my friend and an underling called Brother Ba, so I'd like to ask for your help. Murong Shui was a little embarrassed as she spoke to this point. Brother Ba? The person was slightly stunned. Subsequently, he snapped back to his senses. Are you talking about Ba Quan? It should be him. All right, I know what to do. Don't worry, the person said slowly. Thank you, Uncle Dong. Murong Shui was overjoyed. It's nothing. After Murong Shui hung up, Yu Shasha, who had been nervous, asked immediately, Sister Shui, how was it? Nothing. Let's go take a look. Murong Shui's smile was rather bitter. The Uncle Dong that she mentioned was actually a boss in Ganzhou. His name was Dong Chunguan. Although he was not as powerful as the Murong clan, he was rather influential in this land. Last year, when Dong Qingwen's mother celebrated her 80th birthday, Murong Shui and her father, Murong Qing, attended the party. They could be considered acquaintances, but their friendship wasn't very deep. After all, she was only from a branch of the Murong family. Before making the call, Murong Shui wasn't very confident. She didn't think he'd actually agree. She could not help but shake her head secretly as she thought to this point. She felt that it was not worth it to waste this favor on someone unrelated to her, Yi Chen. But since it had already happened, she couldn't complain anymore. She could only lead Yu Shasha down. Outside the car, as Yi Chen and Yi Wushuang got off, the blond young man, Ma Bing, took a good look at them coldly. Subsequently, he turned his head and said to the old man from before, "Dad, who threw you out of the car?" The old man glanced at Yi Chen and Yi Wushuang resentfully. He stretched his arm and pointed at Yi Wushuang. He said while smiling in a creepy manner, "It's this brat." He pointed at Yi Chen as he spoke to this point. "This brat is involved too. He was the one who asked someone to throw me down." The young man named Brother Ba was hugging a beauty. His hands could not stop roaming the beauty's body as he watched the scene in mockery. Ma Bing then looked at Yi Chen and said with a scoff, "Brat, your people threw my dad out of the car and he hurt his body. What do you think we should do about this?" "What do you want?" Yi Chen said expressionlessly. "It's simple." Ma Bing extended 2 fingers and waved them. "I'll give you 2 choices. Either I break your legs or you pay for the medical fees and kowtow to my dad to apologize. I won't charge you much for the medical fees. You guys don't look like you have money. How about this? I'll give you 200,000 yuan. If you don't have enough money, call your family to transfer it to you." However, Yi Chen shook his head. "Brat, why are you shaking your head? Are you unwilling?" Ma Bing's expression turned grim. 200,000 yuan is too little. Yi Chen said coldly, "How about this? I'll give you 1,000,000 yuan to buy your dad's life." The old man was enraged as soon as he said that. The elder flew into a rage. "Soldier, don't waste your breath on him. Break one of his legs first. Cripple him first." Ma Bing waved his hand, and 2 tall and strong men leaped out from behind him. Both of them held sticks in their hands. Su Yuhan's expression changed. Yi Chen and Yi Wushuang's expressions turned cold. "Wait." At that moment, a squeal came from the bus. Subsequently, Murong Shui walked over quickly with Yu Shasha. Ma Bing and the rest stared at the 2 ladies as soon as they saw them. They checked Murong Shui up and down in a perverted manner. A lecherous gleam flashed through the old man's eyes. "You 2 be asterisk cheese. I'll show you what it means to be a pushover later." Even Brother Ba, who was standing aside, did the same. He said while smiling after taking a good look at Murong Shui, "Old Master Ma, you've got great taste this time." He knew the old man very well. He was an old pervert. Throughout the past year, he had no idea how many times he had molested women on the bus. He had even raped a few of them. Yi Chen looked at Murong Shui in slight surprise. He had no idea why she had come down all of a sudden. "Brother Ba, can you let my friend go for my sake?" Murong Shui walked directly to Brother Ba. "For your sake?" Brother Ba took a good look at her from head to toe and said while smirking, "Sister, your face isn't worth much, but your body is. How about this? I'll let this go if the both of you sleep with me for a night." "You're shameless." Yu Shasha cursed by instinct out of anger. She had yet to step out of society, so she had never come into contact with such a filthy person. "Shameless." Ma Bing could not help but say while laughing, "It's none of your business. Scram now, or I'll strip you and get my brothers to take turns." "Get out of my way. I can handle this myself," Yi Chen said while frowning. "You can handle this?" Murong Shui was dying to stuff his mouth. "Do you know that I've wasted a huge favor for you? You should know what's good for you," she said to Brother Ba while suppressing her rage. "Brother Ba, I've already called 9th Master Dong. Surely you can do him a favor, right?" Yi Chen smiled. Dong Chun-gwen? Brother Ba's expression changed slightly. In Ganzhou, Ninth Master Dong was rather famous. Even he, Ba Quan, could not offend him unless the person behind him was willing to support him. Even Ma Bing was shocked. He said after a scoff, "Do you think we'll believe you just because you say you know Ninth Master Dong?" He thought Murong Shui was just bluffing. "That's right. How can we believe you without any evidence? I'll only believe you if you get Ninth Master Dong to talk to me personally," Brother Ba said while nodding. Just as he was talking, his cell phone rang. Brother Ba picked up the call, and the man on the other end of the line started scolding him. "Ba Quan, are you King tired of living? How dare you touch Ninth Master's friend? Let them go now." "What? Hungry Tiger, did you take some gunpowder? Why are you so angry?" Brother Ba was fearless now that it was not Ninth Master Dong who called. "Stop pretending. You don't have the right to order me. If you want me to let them go, sure. Get Ninth Master to talk to me personally or get my boss, Bandit, to give him the nod." Brother Ba hung up the phone as soon as he was done speaking. Subsequently, he looked at Yi Chen and Murong Shui with a smirk on his face. "I'll be frank with you today. If Master Jiu doesn't say anything, don't even think about leaving." Although Ninth Master Dong was powerful, Brother Ba's boss, Bandit, was not weak either. His position was similar to Hungry Tiger's, so why should he be bullied? Murong Shui's expression changed upon hearing that. She finally panicked a little. Never had she thought that Ninth Master Dong, who had promised to treat her well, would send one of his underlings to call Ba Quan. Not only did she fail to help Yi Chen, but she also triggered Ba Quan and got herself into trouble. She glared at Yi Chen hatefully as she thought to this point. She was filled with regret. "I'm dead because of you." Yushasha held her hand tightly, feeling guilty. She knew that she had dragged Murong Shui into this. At that moment, Yi Chen looked at Brother Ba and asked all of a sudden, "Is your boss called Bandit?" P.S. Fourth update. Chapter 275. Evil Stay-at-Home Dad in the City. Chapter 275. He's not worthy of my acquaintance. Fifth update. Urban Romance GKICMS. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading. Divid equals, link right, add a bookmark. Recommend this book, Chapter 275, He's Not Worthy of My Acquaintance. 5 p.m. Your boss is called Bandit? Brother Ba and Ma Bing were stunned to hear what Yi Chen said. Ma Bing scoffed. "Brat, don't tell me that you know our boss?" When he said this, his face was full of disdain. Brother Ba's face was full of mockery. Murong Shui couldn't help but shake his head. He had heard of Bandit before. His status in Gan Province was higher than Ninth Master Dong's. This was because Bandit was known for his ruthlessness. Anyone who offended him would not end up well. However, Yi Chen acted as if he knew such a ruthless person. "Is the bandit surnamed Du?" Yi Chen asked again. Just as Ma Bing was about to speak, Brother Ba's expression changed. His expression was extremely cold as he said, "How did you know? Do you really know our boss?" People only knew the name of bandits, but they did not know their real names. Even Ma Bing did not know their names. However, Brother Ba was suspicious that an ordinary person like Yi Chen could say the bandit's surname. Yi Chen shook his head lightly with his hands behind his back. "He doesn't deserve to know me." "So what you're saying is that our boss knows you, but you don't know him?" Ma Bing sneered, full of ridicule. Murong Shui shook her head again. "Crazy. This kid is crazy. He actually dares to arrange bandits like this. He's simply courting death." Yi Chen said coldly, "He'll be scared out of his wits if he hears my name." Brother Ba looked at Yi Chen with a grim expression. "Brat, I'll give you another chance. How did you know our boss's surname is Du?" Yi Chen shook his head lightly. "Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading." He picked up his phone and dialed Lin Tai's number. He said directly, I'm at Shilatang, which leads to Longxi from Ganzhou. A bandit's underling offended me. He's called Brother Ba. Do as you see fit." After saying this, he hung up the phone. "Brother Ba, there's something wrong with this kid's head. Let's not waste time talking to him. Let's break one of his hands first. Let's see if his mouth will still be as tough as it is now." Ma Bing could not wait any longer. At that moment, Brother Ba's phone rang. He could not help but jolt when he saw the name on the notification. He looked at Yi Chen and then at his phone. He picked it up after gulping. "Yes, boss. I deserve to die." "Understood, I know what to do." Brother Ba nodded at the phone and broke out in a cold sweat. Ma Bing had a bad feeling about this. Murong Shui could not help but look at Yi Chen. Did he really know the bandits? The next moment, Brother Ba hung up the phone and knelt before Yi Chen. He said in complete fear, "Mr. Yi, I failed to recognize you. I hope you won't." "Brother Ba, what are you doing? Why are you kowtowing to this kid?" Ma Bing was completely dumbfounded. "Pa." Brother Ba slapped him hard and said while gritting his teeth, "B****, you almost killed me. Kneel before Mr. Yi now." Ba Quan now had the intention to kill Ma Bing, because the boss bandit was roaring and roaring on the phone, as if he was frightened by something. Even his voice was trembling. He was not stupid. He knew that he and the others had kicked an iron plate. This iron plate was even more powerful than the bandit. Ma Bing knelt before Yi Chen immediately. He said while stammering while covering his face, "And Mr. Yi, please don't hold grudges against me. See, just let me go like I'm a fart." All of a sudden, Ma Bing's father was stunned. Murong Shui was stunned. Yu Sha was stunned. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Yi Chen said nothing and walked straight to the old man. What do you want?" The old man's expression changed. However, Yi Chen crushed his throat before he was done speaking. He was tossed onto the ground like a dead dog. Before the people could react, Yi Chen took out a bank card and tossed it to Ma Bing. "There's $1 million in there. The password is 66666. By your father's life." He led Yi Wushuang and Su Yuhan back to the car after saying that. Although the people in the car did not get off, they saw what happened earlier. They retreated in fear from Yi Chen, not daring to look him in the eye. After they sat down, Ba Quan got them to clear the road. The driver started the car again and drove 5 kilometers away. Yu Sha looked at Yi Chen with her eyes wide open. "Yi Chen, do you know that bandit?" "I don't know him, but he knows me." Yi Chen shook his head lightly. When he had just returned to Earth, he had been playing games at the internet cafe with Yi Wen and the rest. His colleague, Lu Feng, had gotten into a fight with a young man with the family name Du. Yi Chen only found out from Lin Tai that the young man with the family name Du was the bandit's son. Therefore, he recalled the bandit when Brother Ba mentioned him. Otherwise, he would not have any impression of him. "Why does he know you but you don't know him?" Murong Shui was confused. Tip, please rest your eyes when reading for a long time. Yi Chen smiled calmly. "That's because I'm a martial Dao master who's famous in China. I'm someone that everyone looks up to." "You're bragging." Murong Shui scoffed, thinking that he was bragging. She could not help but mock him. "Don't think that you can do whatever you want in Ganzhou just because the bandits are afraid of you. In reality, the bandits are just bosses on the surface in Ganzhou. They're just small fries to the real bosses." She paused as she spoke to this point and continued rather proudly. "For example, my Murong clan is a real wealthy clan in Ganzhou." Yi Chen smiled and said nothing after noticing that she did not believe him. Instead, he turned around and began talking to Su Yuhan. Murong Shui pouted. To her, Yi Chen should be a disciple of some clan. She could not help but think to herself. There seemed to be no wealthy clan with the family name Yi in China. He must be a disciple of a small clan. She secretly shook her head as she thought to this point. Half an hour later, the bus finally arrived at the bus station in Longxi County. They parted ways as soon as they got off the bus. Yushasha looked reluctant. To be exact, she was reluctant to part ways with Yi Wushuang. After all, having such a handsome guy like Yi Wushuang sitting next to her throughout the journey was something to behold. Remember to keep a low profile when you guys are in Longxi. Murong Shui glanced at Yi Chen before leaving. She said after some hesitation, "Look for me at the Murong clan if you encounter any trouble that you can't solve." Yi Chen agreed, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He then parted ways with the duo. He brought Su Yuhan and his daughter to a nearby 3-star hotel to settle down. Later on, he brought them out for dinner and tasted some delicacies. At night, Meng Meng curled up in Su Yuhan's embrace, asking for ice cream. Yi Chen could only buy it for her. When they were passing by an alley, Yi Chen suddenly glanced behind him. Subsequently, he vanished from where he was in the blink of an eye. Soon, a middle-aged man with a face full of pockmarks walked to where Yi Chen had been standing earlier. He looked around and mumbled, "Where is he? Why did he disappear all of a sudden?" At that moment, a big hand suddenly patted his shoulder from behind. The man jolted and turned his head to look. Panic filled his face. Yi Chen said, "Tell me, why are you following me?" Chapter 276. Yi Chen suddenly appeared behind her. This startled the middle-aged man. When he came to his senses, he rolled his eyes and shook his head. "Who's following you? Don't tell me that I'm following you just because I'm walking the same path as you?" "Really?" Yi Chen chuckled softly and stopped asking. He squeezed the hand that was on his shoulder softly. With a cracking sound, the middle-aged man immediately screamed, "Stop, stop pinching, I'll talk." Only then did Yi Chen let him go. This guy had been following him for a long time. He had been following them from afar since they left the Longxi bus station. Yi Chen's divine consciousness had sensed all of that. However, since Yi Chen did not sense any hostility from him, he did not perform the soul-searching tactic on him. The middle-aged man shook his shoulder and sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain. "Brother, you're here to participate in the pill exchange conference, right?" "What elixir exchange?" Yi Chen frowned slightly. "Stop pretending." The middle-aged man thought that he didn't want to admit it, so he grinned and said, "I've been following you all the way, and I know that you're not from Longxi. In the past 2 days, there have been many people like you, and they're all here for the pill exchange conference." At this point, he paused for a moment and rubbed his hands together. "I saw that you were outsiders and unfamiliar with this place, so I wanted to be your tour guide. However, I didn't dare to approach you, so I followed you from afar. In the past few days, countless people from other provinces had come to Longxi to participate in the Elixir Exchange Conference. Some unemployed people in Longxi took the opportunity to work as tour guides and earned a lot of money. Therefore, he could not help but have such thoughts. He had his eyes on Yi Chen as soon as he started work, but he did not have the courage to greet him until Yi Chen found him. Medicinal pill exchange? Yi Chen's heart jolted. He didn't expect that he would be able to come across the elixir exchange on his trip to Longxi. This was good too. He could go and see if he could take it back. He had always wanted to refine the age-retaining pill, but he lacked a herb at the moment. If he could gather all of them, he would refine the age-retaining pill for Su Yuhan and his parents. The so-called face-retaining pill could keep one's appearance in the state before taking the pill. Even after a few decades, one would not age. Yi Chen asked immediately, "Where will the medicinal pill exchange be held? When does it start?" "About that." The middle-aged man rubbed his hands, looking as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. You know, Yi Chen took out 10,000 yuan from his storage ring directly and tossed it into his hand. "Is that enough?" Earlier on, he had taken out 5 million yuan in cash and placed it in his storage ring, saving it for emergency use. Enough. Seeing him suddenly take out 10,000 yuan, the middle-aged man was shocked at first, but then he took the money and beamed with joy. His friends could only earn a few thousand at a time, but he earned 10,000. How could he not be excited? Boss, my name is Ma Chong. The medicinal pill exchange conference will be held in the Murong family's ancestral home in Dongqing district. It will start at 4 o'clock sharp tomorrow afternoon and will last for 10 days. Ma Chong told him everything he knew in one go. It turned out that the medicinal pill exchange would be held in Ganzhou every year. The organizer was a wealthy family in Ganzhou, the Murong clan. Moreover, it was held in the Murong clan's ancestral home in Longxi. Every time, countless people would come to participate, and it was said that a 1,000-year-old spirit herb would appear. Sure, wait for me here at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Yi Chen shook his head and said, You'll be rewarded, but you better not play any tricks. I wouldn't dare. Ma Chong shook his head like a rattle drum. Yi Chen walked to the supermarket across the street and returned to the hotel after buying 2 ice creams for his daughter. The next morning, Su Yuhan asked while putting on a facial mask, Yi Chen, when are we going to the Ghost Rider sect Mountain Gate? We'll go 2 days later. There's a medicinal pill exchange happening, so I'd like to check it out. Yi Chen peeled a peanut and fed it to Meng Meng. Sure. Su Yuhan nodded and said while smiling, I won't go with you. I'd like to bring Meng Meng around. After all, it's rare that we're here. I'll buy something along the way. Also, I'm running out of facial masks. Then, I'll get Wushuang to follow you and your daughter. Yi Chen glanced at Yi Wushuang. Time flew, and it was the afternoon. Yi Chen only went to the alley last night after Su Yuhan and Yi Wushuang left. However, he did not see Ma Chong. He frowned as he realized it was already 4:30 p.m. He suspected that Ma Chong had run away with the money. A ferocious gleam flashed through Yi Chen's eyes as he thought to this point. Did Ma Chong really think that he, Mad Southern Yi, was that gullible? I'm sorry, boss. I'm late. At that moment, a panting voice came from far away. Ma Chong ran over with 2 dark circles under his eyes, and he was drenched in sweat. I'm sorry, boss. I served 2 people at the club last night, so I overslept, Ma Chong said while wiping his sweat. Yi Chen shook his head as he looked at his legs that were shaking. He walked to the street and hailed a cab without saying anything. Ma Chong got into the cab and told the driver where to go. Ma Chong yawned as soon as the cab left. Boss, I heard that the Spiritual Medicine Mountain's Yao family and Wanan's medical family, the Zhang family, will be attending the medicinal pill exchange. The Spiritual Medicine Mountain? Yi Chen raised his brows slightly. The Spiritual Medicine Mountain is a medicinal pill refinement sect in Ganzhou. It's said that it originated from the pill refinement master Gohong during the East Jin dynasty. They have monopolized all of the medicinal herbs in the entire Ganzhou. Besides that, they have many herb gardens. It's not an exaggeration to describe them as a giant. Ma Chong introduced, meanwhile, the Zhang family from Huanan is known as a national medical family. I heard that the old master of the Zhang family is known as a national medical family. He's said to be able to revive the dead and bring the dying back to life. Yi Chen came to a realization and subsequently asked, How about the Murong family? As the organizer, they should be a medical family, right? No. Ma Chong shook his head and said, The Murong family is a cultivation family. They're the number 1 in Ganzhou and lead all of the families in Ganzhou. Even the Spiritual Medicine Mountain has to respect them. A cultivation family? It was Yi Chen's first time hearing that. Ma Chong took a deep breath, and there was a burning desire in his eyes. They're the ones who can cultivate spells. I saw a Murong family disciple lighting up rows of candles with just a wave of his hand. Rumor has it that the Murong family has a very powerful cultivation sage, who can freeze water into ice and exhale like thunder. He can even ride on clouds. Ma Chong was spitting saliva as he spoke to this point. Yi Chen chuckled softly, revealing an indifferent expression on his face. To him, any cultivator who had just stepped into cultivation would be able to do those techniques. As for riding on clouds, that must be an exaggeration. Ma Chong panicked a little upon noticing that Yi Chen did not care at all. Boss, I'm telling the truth. You must believe me. Also, you can offend anyone in the entire Ganzhou except for the Murong family. Just when he was speaking, the cab arrived. P.S. Chapter 2 will arrive at 9:30 p.m. Chapter 277. Yi Chen lifted his eyes to look. He saw an ancient manor standing before him. It was majestic like an ancient mansion. Meanwhile, people in all sorts of attire would enter from time to time at the entrance of the manor. Yi Chen realized that most of them were ancient martial artists with a high cultivation base. Although that was the case, they walked in slowly and respectfully because there were two hunks that looked like iron towers standing at the entrance of the manor. The hunks looked straight ahead while the veins on his temples bulged. His aura was intense. Both of their cultivation bases were mastery stage illuminating pulse expert. No wonder the Murong clan is the leader of Lanzhou. Yi Chen secretly nodded. Although the cultivation base of illuminating pulse was nothing to him, to regular people, it meant that they were invincible below the master level. Now that they were guarding the entrance, one could tell that the Murong clan was extraordinarily powerful. It was no wonder that Murong Shui was so arrogant when she mentioned the Murong clan. Boss, I won't follow you in. This is my phone number. Contact me anytime if anything happens. Ma Chong yawned and gave Yi Chen a name card. Yi Chen nodded lightly and walked to the manor after paying the fare. However, he was stopped by the two bodyguards at the entrance. Stop. Please give us your name card. Yi Chen frowned. What name card? It's where you're from and your identity, one of the bodyguards said expressionlessly. He even took a good look at Yi Chen after saying that, and a gleam of coldness flashed through his eyes. To him, Yi Chen had come alone empty-handed. There was no energy wave on him at all. Given that he was dressed casually, it was clear that he was trying to take advantage of the situation. I don't have a name card. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. Ha ha! The hunk scoffed. You can't go in without a name card. Otherwise, you'll end up like them. He stretched his arm and pointed at the private hospital across the manor as he spoke. At the moment, many people were wailing at the entrance of the hospital. Some of them had their arms crippled while others had their legs broken. Yi Chen shook his head. Just when he was going to turn around and leave, a surprised voice came from behind him all of a sudden. Mr. Yi? He turned his head to look by instinct. There was a Ferrari parked by the road. A young man in a suit walked over in surprise. Meanwhile, there were a young couple standing behind him. It's you. Yi Chen was a little surprised when he saw the young man's face clearly because the young man before him was Zhang Zijian, whom he had met on the plane to Beijing last time. It was the young man whom Yi Chen had gotten into a conflict with because he was from the Zhang family of Huanan. Later on, Yi Chen said that he would definitely die within 7 steps. Zhang Zijian walked over and said happily, Mr. Yi, I didn't expect to see you here. It's really fate. After the previous incident, he had become much more mature and polite. He was no longer as arrogant and domineering as before. Zijian, this is? The pretty lady with a cold aura behind Zhang Zijian could not help but glance at Yi Chen. Big Sister Mengqi, he's the Mr. Yi that I told you about before who saved my life on the plane. Zhang Zijian smiled and introduced, Mr. Yi, these two are Zhang Mengqi, and this is Zhang Haoshuan. Hearing this, Zhang Mengqi and Zhang Haoshuan could not help but take a good look at Yi Chen. The expressions on their faces turned colder after noticing that Yi Chen looked ordinary. Zijian, is he the miracle doctor that you've been bragging about? Zhang Haoshuan put on a fake smile and said, You couldn't have been tricked, right? Does this brat deserve to be a miracle doctor in front of my Zhang family of Huanan? Let's go in. Zhang Mengqi did not speak to Yi Chen. She glanced at Zhang Zijian and passed him a name card. She walked in first. Mr. Yi, let's go in together. Zhang Zijian said kindly. The hunk standing at the door pointed at Yi Chen and said coldly, "You guys are from the Zhang family of Huanan. You can go in, but this brat can't." Zhang Mingqi, who had stepped in, turned her head by instinct. Zhang Mingqi, who had already taken a step in, turned around subconsciously. Zhang Zijian was a little unhappy. Why? This brat doesn't have a name card. He can't prove his identity, so he can't go in, the hunk said expressionlessly. Zhang Zijian frowned. Mr. Yi has saved my life. I can prove that his medical skills are amazing. He's an expert in Chinese medicine. However, the hunk said nothing. All right, Zijian. This brat doesn't even have a name card. I told you that you've been scammed, but you don't believe me. Zhang Haoshuan dragged Zhang Zijian in forcefully. Zhang Zijian could only turn his head and look at Yi Chen apologetically. At that moment, Zhang Mingqi turned around to look at Yi Chen. She enunciated word for word, "You made Zijian kneel to you on the plane. You must give us an explanation for that." Yi Chen said coldly, "What explanation do you want? My Zhang family's dignity doesn't tolerate any provocation. I'll give you a chance. After the medicinal pill exchange ends, follow me to the Zhang family to ask for forgiveness. Don't you dare run away. My Zhang family's power is beyond your imagination." Zhang Mingqi stopped looking at Yi Chen after saying that. She turned around and led Zhang Haoshuan and the rest in. Before this, she had heard from Zhang Zijian that Yi Chen was a miracle doctor. She thought he was some expert, so she thought she could befriend him. However, not only did she not want to befriend him, but she also wanted to settle the score with Yi Chen for making Zhang Zijian kneel to him. Yi Chen scoffed as he watched them leave. He turned around and planned to leave. "Brat, you can go in if you really want to, but you have to prove that you're capable," the hunk who spoke earlier suddenly said with mockery filling his eyes. Yi Chen lifted his head to look at him. "How do you want to prove it?" The hunk smiled and extended a palm that was the size of a fan. "Come, shake my hand. Show me what you're capable of. If you don't dare to, you can go back to where you came from." The other hunk with a birthmark on his face smirked upon hearing that. If Yi Chen were to shake his hand, his bones would definitely crack. To him, Yi Chen would definitely not dare to do so. However, Yi Chen nodded and extended his left hand to him. "Sure." Both of their hands shook. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of joints cracking came. The hunk with the birthmark revealed an expression as if he had expected it. However, he heard the hunk next to him shriek in pain in the next second. Let go!" The hunk with the birthmark looked over immediately. He saw his brother's face turning pale at the moment, and he looked like he was in pain. How was that possible? He could not help but look at Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen's expression remained the same. "Let go!" The hunk with the birthmark shouted immediately. Yi Chen let go of his hand softly and said calmly, "Can I go in now?" "Go in," the hunk said while suppressing the pain. Yi Chen chuckled softly and took a step out into the manor. At that moment, many people were gathered there. They were standing in groups of 3 to 5, discussing all sorts of things. All of them were ancient martial artists. At that moment, a surprised voice suddenly came from next to Yi Chen. Yi Chen?" Yi Chen lifted his head to look and noticed 2 ladies walking toward him. They were Murong Shui and Yu Shasha, whom he had not seen for less than a day. He could not help but sigh softly. "I can't believe that I'll bump into them no matter where I go. P.S. There are 3 more chapters. There will be 2 chapters before midnight." Chapter 278. Yushasha ran over while pulling Murong Shui. Shock filled her eyes when she looked at Yi Chen. "Yi Chen, why are you here?" "I'm here to take a look," Yi Chen said while smiling. "Take a look." Murong Shui frowned. "This isn't a place that you can come to. Also, how did you get in?" Although the Murong clan was organizing the medicinal pill exchange, not everyone could enter. The requirements were extremely strict. Even ordinary people who were worth over 100 million yuan were not allowed to enter. Of course, I walked in. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. Stop joking. You must have snuck in when nobody was looking. Murong Shui rolled her eyes at him angrily. I'm warning you to get out now. Nobody can save you if they find out. One must know that the Murong clan was against such trickery. On top of that, they would punish them severely. Yi Chen smiled lightly and said nothing. Murong Shui was pissed to see that he was not afraid of anything. Just when she was going to speak, her phone rang. Alright, we have something to do. We won't keep you company. Murong Shui reminded him after hanging up. It's okay if you don't go out, but don't talk nonsense here. Don't offend anyone. Leave as soon as the time is up. After saying this, she took Yushasha and walked toward the corridor across the hall. Yi Chen lifted his eyes to look around the entire lobby. He noticed that Zhang Mengqi, Zhang Zijian, and the rest were standing in the crowd. They seemed to be talking and laughing. Zhang Haoshuan looked over by instinct as if he sensed his gaze. The smile on his face froze. How did he get in? He clearly remembered that the hunk at the door did not let Yi Chen in. What he said caught Zhang Zijian and Zhang Mengqi's attention. Zhang Mengqi frowned when she noticed Yi Chen. Mr. Yi, I knew that you'd definitely be able to get in. Zhang Zijian walked over rather guiltily. Yi Chen nodded lightly. Zhang Zijian led him over immediately. He pointed at a middle-aged man with a vertical stripe on his forehead and introduced, Mr. Yi, this is Huang Ting. His nickname is Flying Axe Huang. He's from the Lingnan Medicine King family. Flying Axe Huang took a good look at Yi Chen and said in a neutral manner, I wonder where you're from, brother Yi? I'm from Tiannan, Yi Chen said in a tone that was neither humble nor arrogant. Tiannan? Flying Axe Huang said solemnly, Tiannan is a good place. Recently, there's a mad Southern Yi who's the #1 in China. He's the legend of us Southerners. Yi Chen smiled lightly. Is mad Southern Yi that powerful? On the side, Zhang Haoshuan said in a strange tone, I heard that he can control lightning and kill martial Dao masters like dogs. Why don't I believe it? He merely wanted to disgust Yi Chen, the Tiannan man. Flying Axe Huang said in a deep voice, Brother Zhang, watch your words. Zhang Haoshuan didn't think much of it. Just as he was about to say something, there was a commotion in the hall, followed by cheers from the crowd. A few people slowly walked in from the entrance. The leader was an incomparably handsome young man. The young man had a calm temperament and was serious in speech and manner, giving people a feeling that they didn't dare to look directly at him. That's Murong Yang from the Murong clan. He's the one who organized the medicinal pill exchange. Just like the rumors say, Murong Yang's like old Master Murong He. He's loved by the Murong family's seniors too. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in charge of such a formal event. As soon as Murong Yang appeared, the atmosphere in the hall became heated. He's Murong Yang? Zhang Haoshuan asked subconsciously. A hint of jealousy flashed across his face. Not bad. Flying Axe Huang nodded and exclaimed, I'm afraid you guys don't know this. Murong Yang entered Dao entry when he was 20. In just 5 short years, he's already at the late stage of Dao entry. The new generation really surpasses the old. As soon as he said that, even Zhang Mengqi, who had always been calm, was shocked. He's already at the late stage of Dao entry? Doesn't that mean there's hope for him to catch up to old Master Murong He? How could it be that easy? Flying Axe Huang shook his head and said while smiling, Old Master Murong He is on Illuminating God. His spells are on Illuminating God. Those below Illuminating God are Ant. Whether Murong Yang can step foot on Illuminating God depends on his luck. Excitement flashed through his eyes as he spoke to this point. To people in the spell world, Illuminating God was equivalent to martial Dao masters in the ancient martial arts world. They might even be 2 to 3 times more prestigious. It was no wonder that the Murong clan could conquer Lanzhou with a god like Murong He. The crowd was stirred again as they spoke. Another lady walked in after Murong Yang. She was approximately 25 or 26 years old, and looked enchanting. Compared to Murong Yang's coldness, the lady seemed much more cheerful. Her every frown and smile captivated everyone's heart. I can't believe that the spiritual medicine mountain sent her this time. Flying Axe Huang was rather surprised. Zhang Mingqi looked at the lady and seemed to be in deep thought. She's Yao Bingyue from the spiritual medicine mountain? That's right. Flying Axe Huang nodded. She's the spiritual medicine mountain's old master Yao's granddaughter, Yao Bingyue. I heard that old master Yao's life is coming to an end, and he's looking for a medicinal pill to extend his life. It seems to be true. Otherwise, Yao Bingyue wouldn't have come herself. A few more people arrived after Yao Bingyue took her seat. Although the commotion was not as big as the first two, it pushed the atmosphere to a climax. Murong Yang lifted his hand to signal everyone to keep quiet after everyone had arrived. He then spoke slowly. He then said slowly, "Everyone, first of all, welcome to the medicinal pill exchange organized by the Murong clan. I, Murong Yang, am still inexperienced, so I hope that everyone can forgive me. At the same time, I hope that everyone will return with a fruitful journey." The medicinal pill exchange began after the opening speech. The place was bustling. "I have a bottle of Maotai made from 200-year-old wild ginseng here. I'd like to exchange it for a medicinal pill that can remove the miasma. Ms. Yao, I've gone through a lot to gather a golden jade pill that can train one's body. I wonder if the spiritual medicine mountain can refine it for me. We can negotiate the price." The people told the purpose of their visit one after another. At that moment the entire hall was noisy. "Let's go." Zhang Meng took out 2 brocade boxes from her bag and was going to go over. At that moment, she saw Yi Chen take out a piece of chalk out of nowhere and write a line of words under his feet. "Buying tiger bone flower and heavenly star herb. I'm willing to exchange them with medicinal pills or buy them with money." Zhang Haoshuan scoffed when he saw that. Zhang Haoshuan sneered, "You have pills." He thought that Yi Chen was a liar from the bottom of his heart. Otherwise, he would not have been stopped outside earlier. Yi Chen ignored him directly. Flying Axe Huang and Zhang Mingqi, on the other hand, took a good look at him. They were secretly looking down on Yi Chen less. "Brother Yi, what's the tiger bone flower and heavenly star herb?" Flying Axe Huang asked in confusion. Yi Chen glanced at him and thought to himself, "Aren't you the Lingnan Medicine King? You don't even know what those two are." However, he was relieved when he recalled that it was a name from the cultivation world. He smiled lightly. "It's a herb that boosts one's vigor." In reality, the tiger bone flower was one of the main ingredients to refine the rebirth pill for Meng Meng, while the heavenly star herb was the main ingredient to refine the youth-retaining pill. Zhang Haoshuan was filled with disdain when he heard the word vigor. Zhang Haoshuan was filled with disdain. Zhang Mingqi secretly shook her head. At that moment the trading was over. Someone noticed what Yi Chen wrote on the ground and asked by instinct, "Brother, do you have medicinal pills too?" In this world, most medicinal pills were controlled by the spiritual medicine mountain. Most of the people who participated in the auction came for medicinal pills and traded them with items. The medicinal pills were traded as soon as they were sold. Everyone's attention was attracted as soon as he was done speaking. Even Murong Yang and Yao Bingyue were looking at him. "Of course." Yi Chen nodded. Zhang Haoshuan could not help but say, "Don't believe him. He's a liar. How the hell would he have medicinal pills?" P.S. There are 2 chapters left in today's update. As for the 2 chapters that I owe, I'll finish them tonight. Chapter 279. Liar? Zhang Haoshuan's words stunned everyone. Murong Yang, who was at the back of the crowd, looked rather grim. He walked out and looked at Yi Chen. "Brother, you don't look familiar. May I know your name?" Yi Chen. "Young Master Murong, this kid is really a swindler. He was stopped outside just now. I don't know what method he used to get in." Seeing that Morong Yang was beginning to suspect Yi Chen, Zhang Haoxuan proceeded to exaggerate. Pride filled his face. As soon as he said that, the people began to look at Yi Chen with hostility. Yao Bingyue smirked as she observed Yi Chen with interest. To her, Yi Chen did not look like someone who had medicinal pills. Zhang Zijian's expression changed and he hurriedly said, "Young Master Murong, my friend is not a swindler." "Shut up!" Zhang Mengqi shouted. "Brother, you said you have pills. Please take them out now and prove yourself." Murong Yang took a deep breath in and said, "The Murong clan welcomes you if you can prove yourself. I'll apologize to you personally. If you can't..." He couldn't continue speaking, but the coldness on his face had already revealed everything. Hearing this, Zhang Haoxuan immediately sneered. "I'd like to see how you're going to handle this. You want pills?" Yi Chen chuckled softly and put his hand into his clothes. When he took it out again, there was a red medicinal pill in his hand. As soon as the pill was exposed to the air, it immediately emitted a medicinal fragrance. Everyone couldn't help but feel refreshed. The smile on Zhang Haoxuan's face froze. This time, everyone's gaze changed. Zhang Mengqi's expression changed slightly. Murong Yang looked surprised. He did not mention that he was going to apologize at all. "This is a body-strengthening pill. It can temper one's body," Yi Chen said calmly. Zhang Haoxuan subconsciously said, "Don't tell me this pill is fake." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone looked at him as if he was an idiot. Fake? How could a fake pill have such a strong medicinal fragrance? "Little brother, may I have a look?" A red-nosed old man walked out from behind Yao Bingyue. "It's Great Master Gu from the Spiritual Medicine Mountain. He's proficient in thousands of medicinal herbs, so he's the most suitable person to test it." No one knew who said it. Yi Chen nodded lightly. "Sure." Master Gu walked directly to Yi Chen and extended his arm to take the body-strengthening pill. He began studying it at a close distance. Sometimes he would sniff it and sometimes he would pinch some powder with his hand and put it in his mouth. The next moment, his expression changed instantly and was filled with disbelief. This pill really has the effect of strengthening and tempering the body. Moreover, the effect is very strong. The medicinal power is enough to allow an ancient martial art practitioner in the movement realm to instantly break through to the inner energy realm. Hua! The crowd burst into an uproar. They were all shocked by Master Gu's words. It should be known that in this world, although the number of ancient martial arts practitioners was not small, close to 90% of them were stuck in the realm of moves, and could only imitate the basics. Only after breaking through to the internal energy stage would one be able to condense energy in one's body. Only then would one's combat power increase dramatically. However, the elixir in front of him could allow a martial artist in the movement realm to instantly break through to the inner energy realm? For a moment, many people's breathing quickened. Zhang Haoxuan's face turned pale. Zhang Mengqi and Murong Yang took a good look at Yi Chen. Meanwhile, Zhang Mengqi's pretty face was shocked, but she did not care. After all, the Spiritual Medicine Mountain could refine such a medicinal pill too, but the effect was not as powerful. Master Gu could not help but look at Yi Chen. "Little brother, do you have more? I'll take as many as my Spiritual Medicine Mountain has." "I'm sorry, but I'm only exchanging for the tiger bone flower and the heavenly star herb. I don't need a lot of them." Yi Chen rejected him firmly. What Master Gu said was a lie. If he really said that he had a lot of them, he would definitely get himself into big trouble. Although he was not afraid, he did not want to be used as a tool. "I wonder what the tiger bone flower and the heavenly star herb that you're talking about are?" Master Gu asked, unwilling to give up. Yi Chen thought about it and drew a picture of the tiger bone flower and the heavenly star herb on the ground with a piece of chalk. Everyone looked at it, and their faces were filled with confusion. Master Gu sighed. He had never seen it before. Yi Chen could not help but feel a little disappointed. At that moment, Yao Bingxue, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke. Are you talking about the Zhu Luohua? Yi Chen could not help but look at her. Yao Bingshu walked over and looked at the picture on the ground. She said again, "Is the tiger bone flower that you're talking about born in the tiger tomb? The one with 5 petals that look like plum blossoms and the color of blood?" "That's right." Yi Chen glanced at her in slight surprise. "My spiritual medicine mountain has the tiger bone flower, but there's very little of it. Moreover, this herb is hard to come by, so we don't sell it." Yao Bingxue smiled sweetly. "Your so-called body-strengthening pill alone isn't enough unless you have something more valuable." Yi Chen thought about it and stretched his hand into his clothes again. A yellow medicinal pill appeared in his hand. The medicinal pill was even more dazzling than the body-strengthening pill earlier. There was a glow coming out of it like the scorching sun. Yao Bingxue was shocked, but she remained expressionless. "This is the heart-repairing pill. Can extend a person's heartbeat and extend their life for a year." Everyone held their breaths as soon as Yi Chen was done speaking. They thought they had heard it wrong. Zhang Mengqi's heart jolted. Never had she thought that Yi Chen would have such a medicinal pill. "What did you say?" Yao Bingyue's pretty face that was initially calm changed. She glared deadly at Yi Chen. "Did you say that it can extend a person's life for a year?" "That's right." Yi Chen nodded. "The premise is that the person hasn't died before consuming it." "Master Gu, test the pill," Yao Bingyue said immediately. Master Gu took the heart-repairing pill from Yi Chen. His hands were shaking, and he was even more nervous and serious than before. Everyone stared at him with their eyes wide open. Their hearts were in their throats, including Murong Yang. Over 10 minutes later, Master Gu passed the heart-repairing pill to Yi Chen. He wiped his sweat and said while shaking, "Miss, this medicinal pill indeed has the effect of extending one's life. I can't guarantee that it can extend one's life for a year, but it can at least extend one's life for half a year." Gasp! The crowd gasped again. It was true. Even if they could extend their lifespan by half a year, that would still be more than 100 days. No one would not want to live more than 100 days, especially for those who were about to die. Not to mention more than 100 years, even living one more day was a luxury. Zhang Haoshuan was completely dumbstruck. Before the people could react, Murong Yang spoke first. "Brother Yi, the Murong family wants this heart-repairing pill of yours. You can name whatever you want. The Murong family can even give you 5% of our annual income in exchange." The crowd could not help but feel dizzy as soon as he was done speaking. Everyone couldn't help but feel dizzy. As the tyrant of Gan Province, the Murong clan was a well-known financial group with hundreds of companies under its banner. Their annual revenue was at least 50 billion, so 5% would be 2.5 billion, and this was only for 1 year. Even Zhang Mengqi could not sit still anymore. She said, "Mr. Yi, as long as you give me the heart-repairing pill, the Zhang family of Huanan won't hold you accountable for making Zijian kneel anymore. P.S. There's one more to go." Chapter 280. Yao Bingyue's expression turned completely cold when she saw Murong Yang and Zhang Mengqi speaking first in an attempt to stop her. "Guys, the spiritual medicine mountain wanted this heart-repairing pill first. What's the meaning of this?" Murong Yang smiled lightly. "Ms. Yao, Brother Yi didn't promise to give it to you. Moreover, this is the medicinal pill exchange. Naturally, the highest bidder wins." "Not bad." Zhang Mengqi nodded and said, "The Zhang family of Huanan is determined to get the heart-repairing pill." The old man of the Zhang family was already in his 70s. Although he paid attention to his health, there would come a day when he would die. Only with the old man around could the Zhang family be as stable as Mount Tai. She could not help but look at Yi Chen as she spoke to this point. "Mr. Yi, you can consider my condition. As long as you give me the heart-repairing pill, my Zhang family won't hold you accountable for making Zijian kneel. We're even willing to guarantee you a lifetime of wealth." "Sister Mengqi, I willingly knelt to Mr. Yi." Zhang Zijian could not help but say. "Shut up." Zhang Mingqi glared at him. Are you a pig? Yao Binghua took a deep breath in and said while looking at Yi Chen, Mr. Yi, I'll trade you the tiger bone flowers. Brother Yi, give me the heart-repairing pill and we'll keep our promise. My Murong family will help you find the tiger bone flower and the stargrass. We're even willing to help you 3 times. Murong Yang increased his bargaining chip again. You must know that my Murong clan is the leader in Lanzhou. My grandfather, Murong He, is an illuminating god spell master. There are only a handful of people in China who can compare to him. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's scalp went numb from the shock. My goodness! The Murong clan was willing to fight for Yi Chen 3 times. This meant that even if Yi Chen offended an illuminating god expert, he would have 3 chances to survive. After all, the old master of the Murong clan, Murong He, was an illuminating god powerhouse. He was someone who was proficient in spells and stood at the top of China. Who would dare to disrespect him? Hearing this, Zhang Mingqi and Yao Binghua's expressions changed at the same time. Clearly, they did not expect Murong Yang to offer such a high price. It was almost irresistible. Murong Yang asked, seeing that Yi Chen was silent, Brother Yi, what do you think? To him, nobody would offer a better offer than him. Yi Chen had no reason to reject it, nor did he dare to. Yao Binghua closed her eyes in despair. Her grandfather was an illuminating god expert too. However, his life was coming to an end and he had lost both his vital energy and blood. It was impossible for him to fight for Yi Chen, as he would only die faster if he did. Zhang Mingqi had already given up hope. Although the Zhang family of Huanan had the reputation of being a national warrior family, they didn't have a spirit realm warrior. In front of the Spirit Medicine Mountain and the Murong family, they had to lower their heads. Yi Chen lifted his head to look at Murong Yang as everyone stared at him. He smiled calmly. You seem to owe me an apology. As soon as he said that, the place was dead silent. Everyone stared at Yi Chen in disbelief with their eyes wide open. They thought they had heard it wrong. He actually wanted Murong Yang to apologize to him? Murong Yang's face twitched a little. He squinted and a cold gleam flashed through his eyes. So, are you rejecting me, Brother Yi? He had said earlier that he was willing to apologize to Yi Chen if he could prove his identity. However, that was just an excuse. Nobody would take it seriously. In the end, Yi Chen took it seriously. Yi Chen chuckled softly and passed the heart-repairing pill in his hand to Yao Binghua, who was standing aside. Ms. Yao, the heart-repairing pill is yours. I hope to see the tiger bone flowers within these few days. He was not afraid that she would go back on her word if he gave it to Yao Binghua first. After all, nobody could go back on their word. Yao Binghua felt like she was in a dream as she looked at the heart-repairing pill at such a close distance. She took it over immediately after snapping back to her senses. She said while smiling, Don't worry, Mr. Yi. I'll contact the Spirit Medicine Mountain later and get them to send someone over. That's great. Yi Chen nodded lightly. Seeing that the tiger bone flowers had arrived, he got up and walked out of the lounge. The people only snapped back to their senses after he left. At that moment, many people's eyes flickered and they left with excuses one after another. Within half an hour, most of the people had left. Let's go too. Zhang Mingqi glared coldly at Zhang Zijian and left with Zhang Haoshuan. On the way, Zhang Haoshuan could not help but say in jealousy, I can't believe that Brat Yi has a medicinal pill like the heart-repairing pill. I've told you that Mr. Yi isn't an ordinary person, but you guys didn't listen to me, Zhang Zijian said while smiling. Zhang Mingqi stopped walking and glared at him coldly. Are you an idiot? Why did you have to go against me in such a situation? Do you know how important the heart-repairing pill is to my Zhang family? Zhang Zijian stammered, but you shouldn't have made an issue out of me kneeling to Mr. Yi. I told you that I did it willingly. Ha ha. Zhang Mingqi scoffed. Do you think that brat will have a good ending? He rejected Murong Yang in front of everyone. It's equivalent to slapping the Murong family's face. Will Murong Yang let him go? What do you mean? Zhang Zijian's expression changed. Are you an idiot? Zhang Haoshuan scoffed. As the saying goes, don't flaunt your wealth. Many people have been eyeing Yi for showing off his medicinal pill in front of everyone. Nobody would dare to touch him if he agreed to Murong Yang's request, but now… He licked his lips as he spoke to this point. I can guarantee that Yi won't live to see tomorrow's sun. No, I must inform Mr. Yi to leave Ganzhou as soon as possible. Zhang Zijian wanted to leave by instinct. However, Zhang Mengqi grabbed him. I'll expel you from the Zhang family if you dare to go. At the same time, in a luxurious living room in the Murong residence, Murong Yang glanced at Yao Bingyue before him and said with a grim expression, Congratulations, Ms. Yao. How could Yao Bingyue not know what he meant? She shook her head and said while smiling, There's nothing to congratulate. Young Master Murong, what do you think of Yi? Murong Yang said nothing. This person looks ordinary, but he has medicinal pills like the body-strengthening pill and the heart-repairing pill. Either he's a pill refinement master or he has someone behind him. A gleam flashed through Yao Bingyue's eyes. Murong Yang said while smirking, What are you trying to say? Are you warning me not to touch that brat? No, no, no. Yao Bingyue shook her head. I can guarantee that this brat has secrets, and he has more than one medicinal pill like the heart-repairing pill. Young Master Murong, instead of congratulating me here, why don't you focus on him? She stopped talking as she spoke to this point. Murong Yang came to a realization and glanced at her in slight fear. Ms. Yao, I'm suddenly glad that I'm not your enemy. This lady was just too cruel. She had just taken advantage of Yi Lingchen and was now encouraging him to touch him. Same here. Yao Bingyue smiled sweetly, revealing a bashful expression. However, a hint of ruthlessness flashed across her beautiful eyes. You want the tiger bone flower? Haha. I've already gotten the medicinal pill. So what if I don't give it to you? Don't even think about walking out of Ganzhou alive after offending the Murong clan. P.S. That's it. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'll continue writing. I'll post it at 12:30 in the afternoon. I'll update as much as I can. Chapter 281. The Genius Nanny in the City. Chapter 281. It would only be interesting to kill more people. Urban Romance, Jikikms. Add a bookmark, recommend book. Chapter 281. It would only be interesting to kill more people. One update. After leaving the medicinal pill exchange, Yi Chen realized that there were two more people in the room when he returned to the hotel. They were Murong Shui and Yu Shasha. The duo was playing with Meng Meng at the moment. Yu Shasha said by instinct as soon as she saw him, Yi Chen, you're back. Yi Chen walked over and said while frowning, How did you guys know that we're staying here? We bumped into Sister Yuhan on the street, so we dropped by to see if you're back, Yu Shasha said while covering her mouth and giggling. Murong Shui looked at Yi Chen. She said in slight surprise upon seeing that he was fine, You're fine? It seems like you really listened to what I told you earlier. You're smart. When she bumped into Yi Chen at the medicinal pill exchange earlier, she had told him not to speak nonsense and not to offend anyone. She had received a call before the medicinal pill exchange began, so she left with Yu Shasha. She had no idea what happened after that. Yi Chen shook his head in between tears and laughter. He walked over and picked up Meng Meng and kissed her cheek. My darling, did you miss Daddy? I did. The little girl wrapped her arms around Yi Chen's neck and said while giggling, Daddy, did you buy anything delicious for me? I forgot. Maybe next time. Yi Chen rubbed her round cheeks and asked, Oh yeah, where did Mommy go? Mommy went to buy food for me. Daddy hasn't been back for a long time. I'm starving, the little girl said with a bitter expression. Just when they were talking, Su Yuhan and Yi Wushuang pushed the door open and walked in. Su Yuhan was carrying a bag with a couple of burgers in it. You're finally back. We've been waiting for you to eat together. Su Yuhan rolled her eyes at Yi Chen and distributed the burgers to the little girl, Murong Shui, and the rest. Yu Shasha said while smiling, "Thank you, Sister Yuhan." Note: please rest your eyes when reading for a long time. Recommended reading, / it's my fault. Let's go. I'll bring you guys out for dinner now. Yi Chen smiled in self-reproach. That's great. Murong Shui rolled her eyes at him. You should treat me to a meal, and it has to be expensive. I didn't help you twice in vain. Yi Chen carried the little girl and walked out. The sky was getting dark. Murong Shui, who wanted to make Yi Chen pay, brought the rest to a barbecue restaurant in the county town. The so-called barbecue on the water was actually a boat, and then eating on the boat, in addition to enjoying the night view in the distance. You could also fish. It cost 10 yuan to fish once. If the bait was used up and you still didn't catch any fish, you would have to spend another 10 yuan to change the fishing rod. As soon as she sat down, Meng Meng struggled out of Yi Chen's embrace and walked to the side of the boat while swaying. She said excitedly, "Daddy, I want to fish. I want to fish." Meng Meng, come back quickly. Don't fall into the water. Su Yuhan wiped her sweat and hurried over to hug her. It was a lake. Even adults would be in trouble if they fell into it, let alone a 4-year-old child. The little girl looked at Yi Chen in a pitiful manner and began to act like a spoiled child. "Daddy, I want to fish." Yi Chen smiled and said to the barbecue restaurant owner next to him, "Please get me a fishing rod." The barbecue restaurant owner was a young man. After nodding, he soon took out a fishing rod with good bait. "Come here, my dear daughter." Yi Chen walked to the side of the boat and waved. The little girl tossed herself to him and began fishing after grabbing the fishing rod. "We want to fish too." Murong Shui and Yu Shasha were interested too. They asked for a fishing rod from the owner and began fishing by the side of the boat. 10 minutes had passed, and the buoy on the 3 fishing rods moved a few times. However, they realized that the bait had been used up when they picked them up to take a look. "Daddy, these fish are so smart. I can't even catch them." Meng Meng pouted, feeling a little discouraged. In reality, that was how smart the barbecue restaurant owner was. He used a large hook on purpose. The bait would swell as soon as it entered the water. Even if the fish bit it, it would not be hooked. That way, the customers would give up after a few tries. They would even spend money to buy fish from him for barbecue. "Here, Daddy will teach you." Yi Chen smiled and got the owner to change the fishing rod. He held his daughter's little hand that was holding the fishing rod and secretly inserted some spiritual energy into the hook. Soon, the buoy moved. "Daddy, it's moving! It's moving!" The little girl was elated. She then lifted the fishing rod hard and the water splashed. A grass carp that was over 30 centimeters long was hoisted up. Could not break free no matter how hard it tried. She really caught it. This time, both Murong Shui and Yu Shasha were stunned. "Wow, what a big fish!" The little girl giggled happily. "Awesome!" Yi Chen caressed her little face and passed the fish to the barbecue shop owner next to him after taking it off. "Grill it for us." Murong Shui ordered some roasted kidney, skewers, and a few bottles of beer. Before long, the barbecue shop owner had served them everything they needed. Yu Shasha took the initiative to pour beer for everyone, and took the lead to pick up the glass and Xiang Yi. Please note. Please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 Recommended reading. Chen toasted Yi Wushuang. Yi Chen, Sister Yuhan, little brother Wushuang, nice to meet you guys. Hearing the words, little brother Wushuang, Yi Wushuang's cold expression froze a little. Just when he picked up a glass of beer to drink, he turned his head to look far away. Yi Chen also looked over. With his divine sense, he saw 2 yachts quickly approaching them. There were 5 men on the yachts, and each of their cultivation bases was not low. They were all meridian opening experts. What's that sound? Even Murong Shui noticed that something was off. Soon, the 2 yachts arrived. 5 men in different attire stepped onto the barbecue boat. Killing intent filled their faces. Guys, who are you guys? The barbecue shop owner went up to them immediately. Scram! The leading hunk slapped the barbecue shop owner unconscious. Murong Shui and Yushasha were shocked when they saw that. Who are you guys? Yushasha stammered. Yi Chen chuckled softly. They're a bunch of people who are blinded by greed. They want to kill me. Ah! The leading hunk laughed out loud immediately. Brat, it seems like you're not surprised that we're here. I'm not surprised that you guys are here. I'm surprised that there are only a few of you. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. Not enough for me to kill. He took a sip of beer as if nothing had happened as he spoke to this point. He said calmly, If I remember correctly, we've met before. Moreover, you were standing behind Murong Yang back then, right? I think your name is Zhou Hong. Brat, you have a great memory. However, the better your memory is, the more you want to die. Zhou Hong squinted and said, Give me the body-strengthening pill that you took out earlier if you know what's good for you. Perhaps I'll let you die in one piece. I've told you that the few of you aren't enough for me to kill. Yi Chen lifted his head to look at the night far away. Come out, all of you. Stop hiding. It'll be more interesting when there are more of you. Chapter 282. As soon as Yi Chen said that, another 2 speedboats came from the surroundings. In an instant, there were more than 10 people on the barbecue boat, and all of them had murderous looks on their faces. The leader was an old man in a traditional Chinese robe. His temples were bulging, and his eyes were sinister. With his appearance, Zhou Hong's expression changed. Murong Kuei, I didn't expect the Murong clan to be unable to hold themselves back. One must know that Murong Kuei was an expert at the peak of illuminating pulse. He had even received guidance from old Master Murong He before. One could say that he was invincible below the master level. As soon as he said that, the others were also shocked. The pill exchange meet was organized by the Murong clan, but now the host had made a move on the guests who had come to participate in the meet. From this, it could be seen that the physique refining pill and the restoration heart pill were extraordinarily attractive. Murong Kuei scoffed, That brat stole my Murong clan's medicinal pill. I'm here to capture him and bring him back for investigation. Hearing this, everyone cursed inwardly at how shameless they were. They couldn't help feeling that it was a pity. Even a great expert like Murong Kuei had come, so they had no chance at all. Murong Kuei, other people are afraid of your Murong family, but I'm not. You can take Yi with you, but I only want the body-strengthening pill on him. Zhou Hong smiled coldly. Not bad. The other old man with a sharp nose also said, Our founding Long Fist sect only wants body-refining pills. Sure. Murong Kuei said in a deep voice. The few of them started working together after a few words. They looked like they had Yi Chen in the bag. Murong Kuei could not help but look at Yi Chen as he spoke to this point. He squinted and said, Brat, I'm advising you not to fight back. Come back with us obediently, or I'll kill you on the spot. Yushasha was completely frightened when she saw this. Her face turned deathly pale, and she kept shaking Murong Shui's arm. Sister Shui, what do we do? What should we do? Murong Shui inhaled softly and said to Murong Kuei, Master Kuei, I'm from the Murong clan too. My father is Murong Qing, and Yi Chen is my friend. I believe that he didn't steal anything from the Murong clan. She even had the urge to kill Yi Chen. You're really a jinx. As long as I'm with you, so many disasters will happen for no reason. Murong Qing? Murong Kuei looked at her in surprise, then sneered and said, Who does Murong Qing think he is? It's just a branch family. Not to mention you, even your father wouldn't dare to say half a word in front of me. Get lost. Murong Shui's face paled. She also knew that although they were both from the Murong family, Murong Qing was nothing in front of Murong Kuei. She took a deep breath in and lifted her head to look at Yi Chen as she thought to this point. I'm sorry, I can't help you guys anymore. Sister Shui, Yushasha's expression changed. Murong Shui didn't explain. She forcibly dragged Yu Shasha away, showing no intention of staying. She was not related to Yi Chen at all, and they had only known each other for a day. There was no need for her to put herself in danger because of him. After they left, Murong Kuei then looked at Yi Chen and said wryly, "Brat, I'll say this one last time. Come with us obediently. Don't force me to attack you. Why are you wasting your breath on him?" Zhou Hong smiled coldly. "Kill this brat with one slash, then search his body." As he spoke to this point, he could not help but look at Su Yuhan, who was next to him. A hint of lust flashed through his eyes. This woman is considered pretty. Although she's had a child, her body is pretty good. Hearing this, anger flashed through Su Yuhan's face. When had she ever heard such filthy words? Jian Wushuang's expression turned cold, and he was about to attack. Yi Chen stopped him as a ferocious gleam flashed through his eyes. He said to Murong Kuei while looking at him, "I'm here mainly to have fun. I don't want to fight anyone. However, since you guys are seeking death, don't blame me. Kill him. Kid, don't blame me. As the saying goes, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for having such a thing." Zhou Hong was the first to scoff. He moved and charged at Yi Chen at high speed. He clawed at Yi Chen's chest hard directly. Clearly, he had the intention to kill. Su Yuhan hurriedly picked up Meng Meng. Then he turned his head away. Yi Chen remained still. Ding! Zhou Hong's hand landed on Yi Chen's chest accurately. However, Yi Chen was not pierced by his claw as he imagined. Instead, a metallic clang was heard. Subsequently, he felt a heart-wrenching pain coming from his 5 fingers as if they were going to break. How is that possible? Zhou Hong's expression changed. One must know that he, Zhou Hong, was famous for his heart-piercing claw. His ability was on illuminating pulse. When he performed his full strength, his claw could pierce through a wall. He could even pierce through a steel plate. However, Yi Chen's body was not harmed at all. Oh no! This brat is an expert. Zhou Hong's heart sank. He had no idea why, but a sense of danger slowly rose within him. He retreated a few steps back immediately. He turned his head and said to the old man with the sharp nose and Murong Kuei behind him, "This brat is an expert. Let's fight him together." "I say, second brother Zhou, aren't you known as the heart-piercing claw? Why are you so useless at such a critical moment?" The old man with the sharp nose scoffed, but he approached Yi Chen anyway. Zhou Hong said, "This brat's body is rather powerful. It must be because he consumed the body-strengthening pill. That means that this brat has more than one body-strengthening pill. We must kill him." The old man with the sharp nose had a greedy look in his eyes. "Zhou Hong, I'll hold him back. Go get his woman and daughter." He let out a long roar and threw a punch as soon as he was done speaking. Taizu's long fist. Bang bang bang. The punch whistled and the air vibrated. The old man with the sharp nose threw a punch at Yi Chen. He was extremely agile, like a hungry tiger hunting sheep or a lion pouncing on a raging bull. His 4 limbs and 1 large spine were like a fully drawn bow as he moved. His fists were like arrows, and they were like deadly gusts of wind. Seeing this scene, Murong Kuei, who was standing at the side, nodded to himself. As expected of the Founding Father's long fist. His movements are bold and unrestrained, yet he has both offense and defense. Zhou Hong, who was on the other side, smirked and grabbed Su Yuhan, who was carrying the cute little girl. "Little beauty, here I come." However, just as he was halfway there, a sword light swept towards him. His legs were immediately cut off, and his upper body continued to fall forward due to the inertia. Zhou Hong shrieked and could not help but look at the young man in the suit before him. The young man in the suit was still sitting upright. Murong Kuei and the old man with the sharp nose were shocked to see Zhou Hong's tragic end. They looked at Yi Wushuang, clearly not expecting him to be so powerful. The old man with the sharp nose gulped and proceeded to attack Yi Chen. To him, all he had to do was kill Yi Chen. He would run away after getting the medicinal pill. However, he saw Yi Chen's mocking gaze. In the next second, Yi Chen threw a punch. Bang! This punch directly pierced through his chest. The old man with the sharp nose held his head down and blankly looked at the hand that pierced his chest. He then looked at Yi Chen. You shock, fear, regret, disbelief, bang! Before he was done speaking, his entire body split into two and subsequently exploded into a bloody mist. Dead silence filled the place. Zhou Hong, whose legs were severed, stopped shrieking. He watched that in utter fear, feeling like he was shaking. The old man with the sharp nose, who was also on illuminating pulse, had died just like that? One must know that his ability was on par with his. Murong Kuei remained still. If one were to look closely, one would notice that his body was shaking. Cold sweat the size of beans dripped from his forehead. Run! You must run! He shrieked and turned around to run far away. He did not even have the courage to fight Yi Chen. Yi Wushuang got up and chased after him. There's no need to chase after him. He won't live. Yi Chen stopped him and looked at the direction that Murong Kuei was running in. Subsequently, he looked at Zhou Hong in a condescending manner. Zhou Hong jolted and struggled in fear. Mr. Yi, please spare me. Please spare me. I shouldn't have attacked you. Chapter 283. Thud, thud, thud. On the busy street, an old man's legs were moving rapidly. He ran on the street with all his might, attracting the attention of the passers-by. Murong Kuei turned his head as he ran. Shock and fear filled his face. How can this brat be so powerful? I was too careless. I was too careless. He broke out in cold sweat as soon as he recalled how Yi Chen pierced the sharp-nosed old man's body with a punch. This brat might be a martial Dao master. I must tell young Master Murong when I get back. At the Murong residence, Murong Yang and Yao Bingyue from the Spiritual Medicine Mountain sat opposite each other. There was a chess game before them. Yao Bingyue looked at the chess game with a white chess piece in her hand. She said, "The person you sent out isn't back yet?" Thud. Murong Yang placed a chess piece and said without even lifting his head, "Don't worry. Uncle Kuei is a peak-stage illuminating pulse expert. It's a piece of cake for him to deal with that brat. I'm worried that someone will go against the Murong family. Your Murong family has made a fortune this time." Yao Bingyue placed a chess piece and said while smiling, "I suspect that brat has the medicinal formula. If we capture him and get the formula, I hope that the Murong family can make a copy for the Spiritual Medicine Mountain. We're willing to give the Murong family 5 1,000-year-old herbs." Sure, sure. Murong Yang laughed out loud upon hearing that. Yao Bingyue smiled sweetly, but coldness filled her eyes. Yi, don't blame me. Blame yourself for having something that you shouldn't have. At that moment, a commotion came from outside. Murong Yang smiled immediately. Uncle Kuei must be back. Murong Kuei was carried in by a few hunks. Murong Kuei was carried in by a few burly men. His head was covered with sweat, and he looked very miserable. Murong Yang's expression turned grim. Uncle Kuei? Where's that brat? Young master, that brat is. Murong Yang was going to speak while panting. However, he realized an intense pain coming from his heart before he was done speaking. It was as if a knife was slicing through his heart. It hurts. My heart hurts. He fell onto the ground while holding his chest while shrieking. He extended his arm to Murong Yang in pain. Young master, help me. Before he could finish his words, his hand dropped down heavily and there was no more movement. Everyone in the room was terrified. A burly man walked over and placed his hand under Murong Kuei's nose to check his breathing. His hand trembled as he said, "Young Master Kuei, Master Kuei is dead." Murong Yang's expression changed drastically. Yao Bingyue inhaled sharply and said, "Killing from a distance. That's a spell master's technique. Murong Yang, we've underestimated that guy." That lad is also a spell master? Murong Yang's expression turned grave. Not bad. Yao Bingyue nodded heavily. That kid must be a spell master. Otherwise, he wouldn't have pills. I'm guessing he's a Dao entry spell master. What do we do now? Murong Yang's face twitched hard. Spell masters. There were very few of them in this world. Their techniques were no weaker than those of ancient martial art practitioners, especially the spell masters who had entered the path. They could already control magical artifacts and perform some spells. Although the Murong clan was the overlord of Gan province, they did not have many spell masters, let alone Dao initiation realm spell masters. Don't worry too much. Yao Bingyue shook her head and said while smiling, don't forget that you're a spell master too, and you're on Dao entry. Your clan's old master Murong, he is an illuminating god expert. That's right. Murong Yang could not help but release a sigh of relief upon hearing that. He smiled calmly. I admit that I've misjudged that brat. However, so what if he's on Dao entry? My clan isn't afraid of him either. He was also a spell master. At Murong Shue's house. Yushasha looked at Murong Shue, who was blocking the door, rather angrily. Sister Shue, why did you drag me away? Yi Chen and the rest. Don't mention them to me. Murong Shue cut her off. Are you stupid? There are so many people here. We can't even protect ourselves if we continue to stay here. But Yi Chen Yushasha's eyes turned red. But what? Do you know what my clan's position is in Gan province? Yi Chen can't fight back at all before them. Murong Shue sighed. Silly girl, what's your relationship with Yi Chen? What's our relationship? We're not related to each other. To put it bluntly, we're not even friends. Why are you so worried? On the barbecue boat, Yi Chen scoffed after sensing the spiritual power whirlpool that he left in Murong Kuei's body exploding. He then looked at Zhou Hong, who was begging for mercy with a cold gaze. Wu Shuang, kill them all. Don't leave anyone alive. Devastating shrieks filled the place. Yi Chen then walked to Su Yuhan and his daughter. He stretched his arm out and hugged her softly. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't scare you? Yi Chen, who are they? Why are they killing you? Su Yuhan said while her pretty face turned pale. Although it was not her first time seeing Yi Chen kill someone, she could not accept it each time. Yi Chen comforted her. They're a bunch of arrogant trash. Don't worry. I'll deal with them. Why don't we leave? I don't want to stay here anymore. Su Yuhan said worriedly. Yi Chen nodded and agreed to it right away. Sure, we'll leave the day after tomorrow. But before that, I have to collect my debt. The next afternoon, Yi Chen went to the medicinal pill exchange at the Murong clan's ancestral residence again. There were up to 100 more people than before. Many people who had seen him before were shocked as soon as Yi Chen appeared. Clearly, they did not expect him to be alive and to have the guts to come. These people had no idea what happened last night at all, let alone that more than 10 people had vanished from this world. Yi Chen looked calm as he faced the people's stare. After finding a place to sit down, he secretly searched for Yao Bingyue. Yi Chen. A voice that was filled with disbelief came. Yi Chen lifted his head to look and realized that Murong Shue and Yushasha were standing far away. They were looking at him with their mouths agape, while Yushasha still looked guilty. Why, you're not dead? Murong Shue walked over quickly, looking shocked. Yi Chen glanced at her expressionlessly and said, Why? Do you want me to die? What do you mean? Murong Shue was a little upset. Initially, she blamed herself for abandoning Yi Chen yesterday. However, she was upset when she heard Yi Chen's harsh words. All right, Sister Shue, stop talking. Yushasha pulled her sleeve and lifted her head to look at Yi Chen. She felt rather guilty. Yi Chen is sorry. Don't worry about it. Yi Chen's expression eased. He had nothing against Yushasha. The girl was innocent and soft-hearted. They had just met, but she treated him with sincerity. Morong Shui scoffed while standing aside when she noticed that Yi Chen's attitude toward Yu Shasha was completely different from hers. Are you blaming me for not caring about you? You're the one who stirred up trouble. What does that have to do with me? At that moment, a commotion came from the lobby. Subsequently, Morong Yang walked over from the end of the lobby and walked toward Yi Chen one step after another. Yu Shasha's expression changed. Yu Shasha's expression changed instantly. She recognized Morong Yang and thought he was looking for trouble with Yi Chen. Morong Shui pulled Yu Shasha aside immediately. She was afraid that they would be implicated by Yi Chen. However, Morong Yang smiled warmly when he walked to Yi Chen. Brother Yi, can we have a chat? At that moment, everyone was stunned. Yu Shasha was stunned. Morong Shui was stunned too. She did not expect Morong Yang to be so polite to Yi Chen. One must know that Morong Yang was the eldest young master of the Morong clan. On top of that, he was favored by the old master Morong He. Morong Yang looked at Yi Chen in an extremely friendly manner. The smile on his face was extremely sincere. To him, although Yi Chen was a spell master, he, the eldest young master of the Morong clan, had taken the initiative to invite him. He would not reject it. He dared not reject it. However, Yi Chen said without even lifting his head. I'm busy. P.S. There are 2 more chapters to go. I'll finish the remaining 2 chapters after I'm done with them. Chapter 284. I'm busy. Yi Chen's voice was neither loud nor soft, but everyone heard every single word he said. Dead silence filled the place. Everyone stared at Yi Chen in disbelief with their eyes wide open. This brat rejected Morong Yang's invitation? A gleam flickered in Morong Yang's eyes. He eventually laughed out loud and said, Since Brother Yi is busy, forget it. We'll meet again if we have the chance. He turned around and walked to the crowd after saying that. However, there was extreme killing intent hidden in his gentle smile. This man must die. The reason why he invited Yi Chen earlier was to test Yi Chen's attitude toward him. However, Yi Chen rejected him. It meant that Yi Chen was still upset that he had sent someone to kill him last night. It meant that there was no room for reconciliation between them. Morong Shui walked over after he left. She said angrily, Are you out of your mind? How dare you reject Brother Yang's invitation in front of everyone? She was from the Morong clan, so she knew very well about Morong Yang's position in the entire clan. So what if I did? Yi Chen's attitude was cold. Morong Shui was pissed. She said after a scoff, Do whatever you want. I can't be bothered with you. Shasha, let's go. She pulled Yu Shasha and left after saying that. Yu Shasha turned her head and gave Yi Chen an apologetic look. Yi Chen lifted his eyes to take a good look at the entire lounge. His gaze paused. He saw Yao Bingyue walking over from far away at that moment. Master Gu followed behind her. Yao Bingyue's expression froze the moment she saw Yi Chen. She seemed to have never thought that Yi Chen would dare to come to the Morong residence openly after what happened last night. She turned her eyes, trying to pretend that she did not see Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen walked over and said calmly, Ms. Yao, when will my tiger bone flowers arrive? Coldness flashed through Yao Bingyue's eyes upon seeing that Yi Chen was blocking her way. However, she said while smiling, Soon, Mr. Yi. Don't worry. They're on their way. I hope to see them tonight. Yi Chen nodded and turned around to leave. Yao Bingyue's expression changed a few times after watching him leave. Subsequently, she signaled Morong Yang. Both of them walked to the Morong residence's lounge one after another. Bang! Morong Yang slammed the table with a grim expression. This brat doesn't know what's good for him. How dare he reject my invitation? Do it, Morong Yang. Yao Bingyue's pretty face was cold as well. It's clear that Yi doesn't respect you. I suggest you do it yourself. My spiritual medicine mountain will send another Dao initiation powerhouse. We'll work together and kill him tonight. Just now. All of a sudden, She received a call from the spiritual medicine mountain saying that the tiger bone flower that Yi Chen wanted had withered unexpectedly. Now Yi Chen was forcing him again and again. She couldn't care less anymore. At this point, she couldn't help but turn around and say to a black-clothed old man, "Uncle Fu, I'll have to trouble you to make a move tonight. Grandfather doesn't seem to be able to make it. I have to take the Restore Heart pill and go back early." Uncle Fu's eyes lit up and he grinned. "Miss, don't worry. Leave this child to me, he will die." "Who do you want to kill?" An old voice sounded. Subsequently, an old man in green with a walking stick walked over slowly. The old man was approximately 60 years old, but he looked as old as 80 years old. Every step he took, there would be a ripple under his feet as if he was stepping on everyone's hearts. If there were experts in the spell world present, they would definitely be shocked to find out that the old man's footsteps resembled a formation. Uncle Fu could not help but let out a low grunt. Shock appeared on his face as he clasped his fists immediately. "Greetings, old Master Murong." Yao Bingwe bowed too. There was no other reason. It was because the old man before them was the pillar of the Murong clan, Murong He. He was an illuminating god expert who stood at the peak of the spell world. Rumor had it that he could turn flowers into swords and water into ice. "Grandpa." Murong Yang went to him immediately and told him about Yi Chen possessing the Restore Heart pill. Murong He stretched his arm and grabbed at Yao Bingyue. A yellow medicinal pill flew from her to Murong He. Yao Bingyue's expression changed. Just when she was going to say something, a gleam flashed through Murong He's cloudy eyes as he looked at the Restore Heart pill. "It's indeed a medicinal pill that can extend one's life." He flicked his finger as soon as he was done speaking, and the Restore Heart pill flew into Yao Bingyue's hand again. "Little girl, since the Restore Heart pill belongs to you, of course, I won't take it from you." Murong He's voice was extremely hoarse as he said, "However, my clan won't let go of this young man named Yi." He lifted his head to look at Murong Yang as he spoke to this point. "Yang your decision is right. You and old Fu will capture this young man named Yi and bring him to me tonight. You must capture him alive. He must have the pill formula with him. Also, I'll give you a magic tool." A silver needle appeared in his hand. "This is called the mysterious sealing needle. Insert it into his body, and he won't be able to activate his mysterious qi. You can do whatever you want to him." "Yes, Grandpa." Murong Yang stretched his arm out to take it. He was over the moon. Yao Bingyue looked envious as she stood aside. Murong He then looked at her. "Little girl, go back to the spiritual medicine mountain now and tell your grandfather this for me. Tell him that when we get the heart-repairing pills formula, we'll produce it together. By then, nobody in China will be able to compete with us." Murong He looked at Murong He. "Sure." Yao Bingyue agreed to it right away. She could see the tempting benefits too. If the Restore Heart pill could really be mass-produced, countless people in China who were afraid of death would kneel before the spiritual medicine mountain and the Murong clan. Night fell. Su Yuhan fell asleep early while hugging her baby, Meng Meng, since they had to rush tomorrow. Yi Chen looked at the time and realized that it was already 10 p.m. He could not help but shake his head lightly. "Yao Bingyue, I'm afraid that you're going back on your word." At that moment, someone knocked on the door. Yi Chen got up to open the door and saw an attendant standing at the door. "Mr. Yi, a lady asked me to pass this to you." There was an envelope in his hand. Yi Chen took it and opened the envelope after the attendant left. There was a line of words written on it. "Mr. Yi, the tiger bone flowers are here. Please pick them up personally. The location is at the Maojia restaurant." The letter in Yi Chen's hand burned into ashes after he was done reading it. He could not help but reveal a mocking smirk at the corner of his lips. "It seems like you're really going back on your word." Yao Bingyue knew where Yi Chen was staying. Instead of getting someone to deliver it to him, she asked him to pick it up personally. It was clear that she wanted to kill him. I'd like to see where you guys get your confidence from. How dare you go back on your word? Yi Chen walked out of the room while smiling. Yi Wuxuang walked out of the room next door. Brother, shall I go with you? No need. Yi Chen shook his head and said, Stay here to protect your sister-in-law and Meng Meng. I wanted to reason with them, but I didn't expect them to talk with their fists in the end. It seems like it's the same no matter where we are. The one with the strongest fists is the most powerful one. P.S. Chapter 4. There's one more chapter in today's update. Chapter 285. Evil Stay-at-Home Dad in the City. Chapter 285. Murong Yang's Pride, Urban Romance, Jikikms. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 Recommended reading. Argot equals _blank 11311/modules/article/ 8 equals 46,921. Back to bibliography. Add a bookmark. Recommend this book. Chapter 285. Murong Yang's Pride. Half an hour later, Yi Chen arrived at the Maojia Hotel successfully. It was a 5-story house that was luxuriously decorated. Meanwhile, there was a statue of Mao Zedong at the entrance of the hotel. The sound of footsteps could be heard, and then an old man in black clothes walked out. His expression was very polite. Mr. Yi, you're here. This old man was Elder Fu. Yi Chen glanced at him and asked in surprise, Why are you here? Where's Miss Yao? Miss Yao has returned to the spiritual medicine mountain, but before that, she gave me what you wanted. While old Fu was speaking, he paid attention to Yi Chen's expression subconsciously. Yi Chen said, All right then, give it to me. Mr. Yi, don't worry. In order to thank you for selling the heart-nourishing pill to us, Miss Yao specially booked a banquet before she left and instructed me to entertain you well. After saying that, old Fu casually placed his hand on Yi Chen's shoulder with a passionate expression. Miss Yao, you're being too polite. Yi Chen smiled and followed him into the Maojia Hotel. They went straight to the 3rd floor. Yi Chen did not see anyone along the way. The entire Maojia restaurant seemed rather empty. He could not help but ask, Why isn't there anyone in this restaurant? Isn't this to entertain you, Mr. Yi? That's why we booked the entire restaurant, to prevent others from disturbing your meal. Old Fu gestured for Yi Chen to sit down. There were many dishes on the table at the moment. There were even 2 bottles of red wine. Old Fu opened the bottle and poured a glass for Yi Chen. He said while smiling, Mr. Yi, let me toast you on behalf of Ms. Yao. Yi Chen clinked glasses with him and said, after taking a sip of the red wine, Shouldn't you give me the tiger bone flowers now? Why don't you have another drink? Elder Fu suggested. Yi Chen shook his head, revealing an eager expression. Give it to me first. It won't be too late for me to drink it later. Sure. Old Fu stood up and walked aside. He took out a brocade box that seemed to be made of sandalwood. Yi Chen could smell the fragrance of sandalwood from far away. Mr. Yi, the tiger bone flower is inside. Elder Fu walked over with a brocade box in his hands. Yi Chen extended his hand toward the brocade box. He wanted to open it to take a look. Just when his hand touched the lid of the brocade box, fierceness flashed across Elder Fu's eyes as he held the bottom of the brocade box. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 Recommended reading. Suddenly, a silver needle appeared in his hand. A silver light streaked across the sky. The silver needle pierced into Yi Chen's wrist. It penetrated his skin directly and disappeared within the blink of an eye. Yi Chen's expression changed as he looked at Elder Fu in disbelief. What did you do to me? Elder Fu, who was extremely friendly earlier, had a drastic change in his attitude. A smug expression appeared on his face. Of course, I pierced the mysterious sealing needle into your body. What's the mysterious sealing needle? Yi Chen said coldly. It's a magic tool that can lock the mysterious qi in your body. Elder Fu scoffed. Do you feel like your limbs are jelly and that you can't activate the mysterious qi in your body? There's a piercing pain coming from your meridians as soon as you use your strength? Yi Chen tried it, and the expression on his face changed again. Why did you do that? That's a great question. At that moment, a guffaw came from the staircase on the 4th floor. Murong Yang walked down while smiling. He was clapping as he walked. Great job, Elder Fu. Murong Yang, it's you. Yi Chen wanted to stand up by instinct, but he sat back down again. He looked like he was in pain. So, this is a scam. You guys are trying to kill me. You're not stupid after all. Elder Fu chuckled and opened the brocade box right in front of Yi Chen. It was empty. There was nothing inside. Yi Chen glared at him angrily. I've already given you the heart-repairing pill. You guys broke your promise. Brat, in reality, we never planned to give you the tiger bone flowers since the beginning. Elder Fu's expression was grim. If we didn't use this method, how would we have tricked you to come here? Yi Chen closed his eyes and said, I can understand that Murong Yang wants to kill me, but I don't think I've offended the spiritual medicine mountain. Why do you guys want to kill me? Why are you guys working with him? Murong Yang took a good look at him wryly. That's because you have the body-strengthening pill and the heart-repairing pill. If I'm not mistaken, you must have the pill formula with you. I don't. Yi Chen shook his head immediately, looking rather panicked. The smile on Murong Yang's face was getting brighter upon seeing his expression. I asked you to give me the heart-repairing pill before this, but you didn't know what's good for you. You rejected me and refused to tell me. I sent Uncle Kue to kill you after that, but I can't believe that you killed Uncle Kue with a spell. You're a Dao entry spell master. The expression on his face was replaced by ruthlessness. But so what? I, Murong Yang, am also a spell master. On top of that, I'm on mastery stage Dao entry. A powerful aura exploded from his body as soon as he was done speaking. A powerful aura erupted from his body, and he waved his hand at the chandelier on the ceiling. But the chandelier lit up. He waved again, and the chandelier was extinguished. Subsequently, he lifted his head to look at Yi Chen. I'm guessing you must be very surprised. You must be regretting rejecting me, aren't you? It's useless even if you regret it. Murong Yang shook his head lightly. I could have killed you with my ability, but my grandpa and Ms. Yao sent old Fu to help me just in case. They even gave me the mysterious sealing needles. His expression turned cold as he spoke to this point. Now that your mysterious chi has been sealed by the mysterious sealing needles, you're no different from an ant to me. You'll definitely die today. Old Fu, kill him. Old Fu, who was standing aside, grinned ferociously. Old Fu, who was standing aside, grinned ferociously and extended his arm to Yi Chen. Brat, have a safe journey. Wait, Yi Chen said all of a sudden. And then reminder, please rest your eyes after reading for a long time. Recommended reading, BSB, Murong Yang teased like a cat playing with a mouse. There's no need for you to beg for mercy because it's too late. You can tell me if you have any last words. Yi Chen looked at old Fu. I'll give the spiritual medicine mountain one last chance. Give me the tiger bone flowers and get Yao Bingyue to kowtow to me as an apology. How dare you boast when you're about to die? Old Fu scoffed and threw a punch at Yi Chen directly. Yi Chen sighed softly and subsequently stood up. He no longer looked like he could not move at all. How can you move? Old Fu's eyes were wide open in disbelief. Murong Yang was shocked too. Didn't the mysterious sealing needles seal your mysterious chi and meridians? Mysterious sealing needles? Are you guys talking about this? Yi Chen chuckled and subsequently rolled up his sleeve. The skin on his arm began to tremble. As it trembled, a tiny silver needle came out gradually. How is that possible? Old Fu and Murong Yang exclaimed at the same time. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and looked at Murong Yang in slight disdain. Didn't you investigate my identity before you attacked me? Who are you? Murong Yang's heart sank. Although the Murong clan was a tyrant in Ganzhou, They did not have much power in the outside world. They were rather isolated from the news. He had asked about Yi Chen's identity earlier. However, he did not think much about it when he heard that Yi Chen had a conflict with the bandits' underlings at Shilatang. He thought that the bandits were afraid of Yi Chen's identity as a spell master. Now that he heard Yi Chen's question, he had a bad feeling. He had a bad feeling growing inside of him. No wonder your Morong clan can only dominate in Ganzhou, but you're not famous in China. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and walked to Morong Yang one step after another. My name is Yi Chen. I'm from Tianan. I killed Yuan Bupo and 3 masters on my own. I destroyed the Su clan and the Martial Alliance branch with a swing of my sword. Morong Yang's expression changed drastically as soon as he was done speaking. Morong Yang's expression changed drastically. He staggered over 10 steps back and eventually exclaimed in shock, "Why, you're mad, Southern Yi?" "What?" Old Fu, who was standing aside, had goosebumps all over his body when he heard that. He released a shriek in disbelief. "He's mad, Southern Yi?" P.S. I've finished updating the 5th chapter today. I'll continue writing the 2 chapters that I owe. My saviors, rest early. Don't wait for me. Otherwise, you'll say that I'm lying. Don't make me stay up all night writing and end up being scolded. Chapter 286. Impossible. Morong Yang looked at Yi Chen in disbelief and said at the top of his lungs, "How can you be mad, Southern Yi? That's impossible." If one were to look closely, one would notice that when he said this, his whole body was trembling slightly. Mad Southern Yi. These 3 words represented too many things. It represented endless killing and decisiveness. Countless people had died in his hands, and there were as many as 10 to 20 martial Dao masters alone. It represented supreme combat strength and status. He was a martial Dao master, a physique training master, number 1 on the Heaven leaderboard, number 1 in China. One could say that Mad Southern Yi was a legend in the entire martial Dao world in China. At the same time, he was countless people's nightmare. Therefore, Morong Yang and Old Fu had such a huge reaction when they heard Yi Chen say that he was Mad Southern Yi. They were even terrified. That's right. This brat can't be Mad Southern Yi. Young Master Morong, don't be fooled. He's scaring us on purpose. Old Fu suppressed the fear within him forcefully. Killing intent filled his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen. Die, brat! Old Fu performed a strange seal as soon as he was done speaking. He quickly formed a strange hand seal. This hand seal was like a 6-pointed star that contained 6 directions. Once the hand seal was formed, streams of baleful yin qi whizzed over from 6 directions. The vile energy was extremely cold. If a regular person came into contact with it, they would either catch a cold or have a fever, or they would die on the spot. Brat, I'll show you my 6-vial formation. You should be happy that you're able to die under it. Endless vile energy gathered in the seal that he performed. Eventually, it turned into an earth-shattering flood that charged at Yi Chen. That was a spell master's technique. Although they did not rely on their physical strength like ancient martial artists, they could use spells to set up a formation to fight the enemy. Old Fu had only mastered the 6-vial formation after over 20 years of hard work. Since he was on Mastery Stage Dao entry, its power was comparable to a peak stage illuminating pulse ancient martial artist's full-powered attack when he performed it with all his might. A regular person would die immediately upon touching it. However, when an ancient martial artist touched it, his body would be corroded by the vile energy instantly. It might even affect his soul. Old Fu could not help but reveal a smirk and a proud expression as he thought to this point. He seemed to have envisioned Yi Chen's tragic end. However, in the next second, he looked as if he had seen a ghost. Yi Chen opened his mouth all of a sudden and sucked the vile torrent that was charging at him. A whirlpool formed before him all of a sudden. Yi Chen sucked the vile torrent that was charging out with the help of the air whirlpool. How is this possible? Elder Fu widened his eyes. That was vile energy. It was extremely harmful to a living person's body. Not only did Yi Chen not dodge it, but he even swallowed it? Even Yao Huayuan, a spirit realm warrior from the Spirit Medicine Mountain, wouldn't dare to do that. Murong Yang, who was standing aside, was shocked. Burp! Yi Chen spat out a mouthful of foul air and said after burping, "Is this what you're capable of? Not enough, far from enough. Is there anyone more powerful?" He was an immortal venerable, so even the strongest lightning in the world could not harm him at all, let alone a mere Yin Qi. "You, who exactly are you?" Elder Fu finally panicked. "I told you, I'm Mad Southern Yi." Yi Chen walked toward him one step after another. Mad Southern Yi is an ancient martial artist. How can he have such a technique? Elder Fu shrieked and said immediately, "Young Master Murong, what are you waiting for? Otherwise, we'll all die today." As he shrieked, Murong Yang snapped back to his senses. Murong Yang snapped out of his daze and snapped the pendant on his neck. It was a purple gourd the size of a thumb with all sorts of patterns printed on it. "Yi, go to hell!" Murong Yang stretched his arm out and pulled the stopper off the purple gourd. Whoosh, 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 a sinister wind blew out of the gourd's mouth. The wind was getting stronger and soon, it covered the entire third floor of the Maojia Hotel. Countless devastating shrieks filled the air as shadows that looked like ghosts charged at Yi Chen. "Is that the ghoul gourd?" Elder Fu's scalp tingled. He had heard that Murong Yang had massacred a village of tens of people to refine this magic tool and collected endless resentment. He could not believe that it was true. Facing the black energy that was charging at him, Yi Chen opened his mouth and roared. He unleashed the heavenly dragon's 8 music, "Get Lost." His voice was as vast as rolling thunder, yet it was also like the roar of a true dragon, filled with supreme majesty. The word "get lost" was heard. The black aura shattered into pieces. Then it disappeared. Pooh! Murong Yang spat a mouthful of blood out. His face turned pale and blood drained from his face. Not only did Yi Chen break its spell, but he also broke its ghoul gourd. He even injured its mind with a single sentence. "Insignificant tricks, and you dare to show off in front of me? Today I'll let you see what a true ghost Dao magical artifact is." Yi Chen chuckled softly. A black streamer suddenly appeared in his hand. The temperature in the room dropped as soon as the black streamer appeared. 100 ghosts emerge. He waved the black banner. Boom! Boundless black smoke spread out from the black flag, accompanied by extremely shrill cries, and illusory and ferocious faces filled with resentment. In an instant, the entire third floor of the Maojia Hotel turned into a ghost town. Hundreds of ghosts roamed and howled. Murong Yang had goosebumps all over his body at that moment. How do you have such a terrifying magical artifact?" "Oh no." Old Fu's expression changed as he lost it and exclaimed, "We've guessed wrong. This brat is an illuminating god almighty. Run. Run now." He leaped toward the door as soon as he was done speaking. However, boundless black smoke blocked his way. Just when he extended his left hand out of the black smoke, the sound of something biting his flesh came. Old Fu shrieked and pulled his hand back immediately. He realized that his left hand had turned into a piece of white bone from the shoulder down. There was no flesh at all. Murong Yang was scared out of his wits when he saw that. He fell onto the ground by instinct. "Mr. Yi, don't kill me. My grandfather is an illuminating god expert. You can't kill me. Your grandfather came to look for me. He's going to die too. You should go first." Yi Chen waved the 100-soul streamer again. Tens of black smoke charged at Murong Yang directly. Crack, crack, crack as chewing noises were heard, a set of white bones appeared on the ground. Plop! Old Fu knelt onto the ground hard in fear. He knelt to Yi Chen one step after another in fear. "Mr. Yi, please spare my life. Please spare my life. As long as you don't kill me, I'm willing to bring you the tiger bone flowers. I've already given you a chance." Yi Chen shook his head lightly and pressed his palm on Old Fu's head. He performed the soul-searching tactic by force. Old Fu shrieked in pain, but he could not break free. Soon, Yi Chen retracted his hand slowly. His expression changed a few times. Eventually, he scoffed, "Yao Bingyue, you're really back at the spiritual medicine mountain. You're lucky. But do you think you can get away with this? You're too naive. Since that's the case, you'll pay me back with your life. P.S. This is a chapter that I missed. I'm still missing one chapter." Chapter 287. Yi Chen checked Old Fu and Murong Yang's bodies again, but he still could not find the tiger bone flower. He guessed that the tiger bone flower might still be on the spiritual medicine mountain. He simply gave up and walked out of the Maojia restaurant in disappointment. He flicked his finger to cast a fireball spell, and a violent explosion came from behind him. Then, it turned into a sea of fire. The next morning, Su Yuhan woke Yi Chen up early in the morning and urged him to leave. She had been scared by Murong Kuei and the rest 2 nights ago, so she left immediately. She went to wake up Meng Meng, the little girl, and waited on her to wash her face, brush her teeth, and eat breakfast. When she was finally done, it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. The group officially set off. Longxi was located in the southeast of Gan Province, on the upper reaches of the Wei River, in the middle of the Lus Plateau. It was bordered by Tongwei County in the east and Wushan in the south. Since ancient times, it had been a battleground for military strategists, and was also known as the Four-Fortress Kingdom. There were 10 towns and 8 villages under it. Yi Chen was heading to Wanshan Town, which was one of the 10 towns. According to the soul search that he had performed on Su Tao earlier, the Ghost Rider Sect's mountain gate was in Wanshan Town. Meanwhile, Wanshan Town was approximately 300 kilometers away from Longxi Station. Yi Chen brought them to the station and bought a ticket to Wanshan Town. To prevent the little girl from starving on the way, Yi Chen went to the supermarket to buy many snacks for her before he got into the car. He placed all of them in his storage ring. Meanwhile, it was the 3rd day of the medicinal pill exchange at the Murong family. Murong he arrived at the medicinal pill exchange with the help of his walking stick. A young man in a suit came to greet him immediately. "Greetings, old master. Where's Yonger?" Murong he squinted and observed the crowd far away. However, he did not see Murong Yang at all. He could not help but frown. The young man in the suit said respectfully, "Old master, young master went out at around 8 o'clock last night and hasn't returned yet. Where did he go?" Murong he asked in a deep voice. The young man shook his head. "I'm not sure about that, but Elder Fu from the Spiritual Medicine Mountain went out with young master." Hearing this, Murong he came to a realization and guessed where Murong Yang had gone. He said rather worriedly, "He hasn't returned for the entire night? Give Yonger a call and ask." The young man nodded and took out his phone to call Murong Yang immediately. However, nobody picked up. Murong he's expression slowly turned grim. For some reason, he had a bad feeling about this. He immediately ordered, "Send everyone out to look for them. They must be found." After more than an hour, finally, a burly man ran in panting and stammered, Young master went to Maojia restaurant last night, but what?" Murong he hit the ground with his walking stick. The burly man wiped his sweat and said, "But the Mao family restaurant caught on fire last night. Nothing is left inside, and young master and elder Fu are gone as well. Bring me there." Murong he's expression changed slightly. Half an hour later, a car arrived at the entrance of the Maojia restaurant. There were 2 police cars parked at the entrance, and the police had cordoned off the area. The fire had been put out long before dawn, but the restaurant had been turned into ruins. Murong he walked out of the carriage with a grim expression. Nobody dared to stop him wherever he went. When he walked into the restaurant and saw the 2 skeletons on the ground, his whole body suddenly stiffened and he didn't move at all. Murong he bent down and caressed one of the skeletons with his hands. Sorrow filled his face. "Yonger, At that moment, a middle-aged man in a police uniform walked in. He said respectfully, "Old Master Murong, your grandson was unfortunately killed in the fire. My condolences. Don't worry, we'll definitely get to the bottom of this. There's no need to investigate." Murong he suddenly turned his head and glared at him. His eyes were bloodshot. "I'll handle this myself. You guys don't have to interfere." The middle-aged policeman nodded lightly and turned around to leave. After he left, Murong he's old face was replaced by a ferocious expression. "You killed my younger. I'll never forgive you. I'll kill you even if you run to the end of the world." He knew that it was Yi Chun who did it without even thinking. Before this, Murong Yang had used his magic tool to fight Yi Chun. However, something happened in the blink of an eye. Who else could it be if not Yi Chun? Lock down all the train stations in Longxi immediately. Interrogate everyone with the surname Yi. We can't let that brat escape no matter what. At the Murong clan's ancestral residence, Zhang Mingqi and the rest stood on the second floor and looked at the people below in a condescending manner. Zhang Zijian could not help but ask, "What's going on today? Why isn't Murong Yang here? Yao Bingwei is gone too. That brat Yi isn't here either." Zhang Haoxuan, who was standing aside, could not help but say, "I think Murong Yang has gone to fight that brat. There's going to be a good show." He could not help but look at Zhang Zijian as he spoke to this point. He could not help but scoff when he saw Zhang Zijian looking worried. At the front desk of the hotel that Yi Chun had booked earlier, Murong Shui pulled Yushasha and asked the lady at the front desk, "Where's the guest in room A302? He just checked out." The lady at the front desk smiled lightly. Yushasha was rather disappointed to hear that. Yi Chun and the rest left just like that? Murong Shui fell into deep thought and mumbled, "This guy's smart. He knows that he's offended Brother Yang, so he ran away." Northeast Liao Province, Gourd Island. In a sparsely decorated and remote room, it was completely dark. However, at this time, a shout could be heard from time to time. "Let me out. Is anyone there?" It was a man's voice. However, his voice was filled with anger, helplessness, and even anxiety. At that moment, the sound of a lock being unlocked came from outside. A skinny young man pushed the door open and walked in. He was holding a lunchbox in his hand that was half filled with food. Pop! The dark room lit up. It was a small room that was less than 50 square meters. It looked like a warehouse with many plastic boxes placed around. There were many banners hanging on the wall. "Blue Sky Plan will make you rich overnight. Today's failure is tomorrow's success. Believe that the Blue Sky Plan will make you $1 million a month. Seize the opportunity and control your life. Try to be the second Ma Yun and the second Li Ka-cheng." There were countless banners that looked like they had been injected with steroids. Meanwhile, a young man with messy hair and a face full of stubble was sitting against the wall. His limbs were tied to the chair behind him, so he could not move at all. The skinny young man walked over and slammed the lunchbox on the table before the unkempt young man. "Time to eat." The unkempt young man only opened his eyes then. Perhaps he was not used to the bright light. He said after closing his eyes, "Brother, can you let me go? I really have something urgent to attend to. I can't waste my time here." "I can't." The skinny young man shook his head and lit a cigarette. He squatted on the ground and said while sticking his butt out, "My boss said that he won't let you go unless you agree to join our Blue Sky group." Hearing that, the unkempt young man was furious. "Join my ass. Don't think that I don't know that you guys are just a pyramid scheme. As soon as I join, you guys won't let me go unless you suck my blood dry." As he thought to this point, he could not help but feel like crying. Why am I, Yang Tian, so unlucky? I've been picking up trash for a month. I've either slept under bridges or on the street. I've finally arrived at Haludio, and I'm not far from Ji Province. In the blink of an eye, I've been kidnapped by a pyramid scheme. They've even brainwashed me every day to get me to join that T blue sky group. I'm a beggar. You guys won't even let a beggar go. Don't you have any dignity? They even took away the 38 yuan that I collected from picking up trash. They said that it's the membership fee. Aren't they shameless? The more Yang Tian thought about it, the angrier he got. He had been out for a month. Back then, he had promised Yi Chen that he would arrive at Changbai Mountain within 3 months. Not only did he have to get there, but he also had to rush back from there. However, more than a month had passed. Not only did he fail to get to Changbai Mountain, but he was also imprisoned by the pyramid scheme. P.S. I've made up for the last 2 chapters. I'll update at night. I've been up all night. I can't open my eyes. Chapter 288. All the mountains in this world originated from Kunlun Mountain. Therefore, Kunlun Mountain was also known as the Mountain of Ancestors. It was the number 1 divine mountain in China. Meanwhile, the mountains in Longxi belonged to Kunlun Mountain, a branch of the Qinling mountain system. It was noon in the Wanshan town in Longxi. The forest was dense, and the weeds were half a person's height. There were hardly any people around. However, a childish voice came at that moment. Humph ha he ya. Meng Meng stood aside and could not stop waving a sword in her hand. She was even making all sorts of noises. Her movements were humorous and childish. Meanwhile, the long sword in her hand was Yi Wushuang's great thunder sword. It did not seem big, but it weighed over 50 kilograms. However, the little girl was holding it effortlessly as if she was holding a tree branch. The little girl had yet to cultivate, so she could not use the great thunder sword's function. She was purely playing with it. Meanwhile, Su Yuhan took out a handkerchief and walked to the pond to wash her hands while bending over. Her alluring but was outlined delicately. Yi Chen lay on a big rock with his hands as a pillow. He looked at the mother and daughter while smiling. Enjoyment filled his eyes. What could be more blissful than having a beautiful wife on his left and a daughter on his right? No, that was it. Su Yuhan walked over with a clean handkerchief. She shouted at the little girl who was sweating profusely, Meng Meng, that's enough. Stop playing. Come here. She rolled her eyes at Yi Chen as she spoke to this point. She said angrily, What's wrong with you? Meng Meng is a kid. Why is she playing with a sword? What if she hurts herself? Yi Chen was speechless. She's my daughter. I don't know what to do. Moreover, the little girl eats medicinal pills like candy. She's not that fragile. What? Do you have something to say? Su Yuhan glared at him. No. Yi Chen shook his head immediately. His wife was the most important person in the world. How would he dare to say anything? The little girl ran over with the great thunder sword. She was panting, but she did not look tired at all. Look at you. You only know how to play. You look like a kitten, Su Yuhan scolded jokingly and wiped her face and hands with a handkerchief. Yi Chen took out 2 bottles of mineral water from his storage ring immediately and passed them to the mother and daughter. The little girl said pitifully after taking a sip, Daddy, I'm hungry. At that moment, Yi Wushuang walked over from far away. He was carrying a wild rabbit that was alive and kicking. It was approximately 4 to 5 kilograms and had gray fur. Wow! Little rabbit? The little girl's attention was immediately attracted. She ran to Yi Wushuang immediately. Uncle Wushuang, where did you catch this bunny? Looking at how cute the little girl was, a smile appeared on Yi Wushuang's cold face. I caught it when I was walking around. After saying that, he handed the hare to the little fellow. The little fellow gently held the wild rabbit in her arms, and a strange scene happened. The wild rabbit that was struggling suddenly became quiet and motionless in the little fellow's arms. Daddy, Mommy, little rabbit is so cute. The little girl was so happy that she could not stop giggling. Yi Chen said without even thinking about it, Aren't you hungry? You can eat this rabbit. Daddy will cook for you and your daughter. I'll grill some delicious rabbit meat for you too. The 2 beauties glared at him angrily as soon as he was done speaking. Daddy, little rabbit is so spicy. Why are you eating it? The little girl hugged the wild rabbit tightly and said angrily while pouting. Suyuhan chimed in. The mother and daughter were on the same side at that moment. That's right. You're too cruel. Yi Chen glanced at Yi Wuxuang, who was standing aside. Both of them were speechless at that moment. Eating a rabbit is cruel? Will you guys say that I'm cruel if I make you guys eat dragon liver and phoenix gallbladder later? Then, let's have some snacks. Yi Chen shook his head in between tears and laughter. He took out the snacks that he had bought earlier from his storage ring and distributed them to the mother, daughter, and Yi Wuxuang. Seeing that they were almost done, Yi Chen set off again with the mother and daughter. Over half an hour later, they arrived at a spacious place. Compared to the lush forest earlier, the scenery before them was rather creepy. There was only black soil as far as their eyes could see. Meanwhile, there was a bare eagle cliff before them. It was hundreds of meters tall, blocking their way completely. Meanwhile, there was black energy lingering at the peak of the eagle cliff. The black energy did not disperse, and not a single bird could be seen flying past. It was miasma that was extremely poisonous. Yi Chen, is there a dead end? How are you going to lead the way? Suyuhan glared at Yi Chen with killing intent in her eyes. Don't be afraid, wifey. I have my ways. Yi Chen chuckled softly as a gleam flashed in his hand. It was the almighty killer sword. As soon as the flying sword appeared, it grew a few times larger like a giant sword. Wifey, I'll let you enjoy flying today. Yi Chen stretched his arm out to Suyuhan. Tui! Sensing the ambiguity in Yi Chen's words, Suyuhan's pretty face flushed. She spat angrily, but she grabbed Yi Chen's hand anyway. Before she could react, Yi Chen grabbed her and stepped on the almighty killer sword. He turned into a sword gleam and flew far away. Ah! She moaned by instinct and hugged Yi Chen tightly. She retreated into Yi Chen's embrace like a quail. She was shaking and her chest was like a frightened bunny. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Open your eyes now. Yi Chen comforted her and reduced the speed of the sword kinesis flight. Suyuhan opened her eyes slowly, seeing that his parents had abandoned him. The little fellow was stunned and suddenly burst into tears. Daddy, Mommy doesn't want me anymore. At that moment, Yi Wuxuang picked Mingming up and stepped onto the great thunder sword directly. Subsequently, he chased after them. To let Suyuhan get used to it, Yi Chen flew a few rounds on purpose. He only landed on Eagle Cliff when Suyuhan called for him to stop. Although that was the case, Suyuhan's body was drenched in sweat. Her clothes clung tightly to her body, accentuating her exquisite body. Yi Chen lifted his eyes to look around. There were cliffs all around him, and they looked like ferocious beasts that were watching him from the side. Meanwhile, the place where they were standing was like a bowl-shaped concave terrain. There was a man-made cave in the stone wall before Yi Chen. Yi Chen walked over slowly and came to a realization after taking a good look. Clearly, that was the entrance to the Ghost Rider Sect Mountain Gate. Judging from the marks, it must have been dug by Zhang Yuan and the rest. Yi Chen, is this the Ghost Rider Sect Mountain Gate that you were talking about? Suyuhan walked over and took a look. She wanted to take a few steps closer by instinct. Don't move. Yi Chen suddenly pulled her back. There's a formation set up ahead. You'll activate the formation as soon as you go in, and you'll be attacked. To prove what he said, he picked up a rock and tossed it forward. He picked up a stone and threw it in front of him. The stone flew less than a meter before it suddenly burst into flames. Suyuhan's face turned pale, and she retreated a few steps back immediately. What should we do? Yi Chen chuckled softly. It's just a formation. How hard can it be for your husband to break it? Chapter 289. Ghost Rider Sect. Yi Chen found out from Su Tao's memory that the sect came from ancient times. It was a long time ago and was suspected to have been founded in the Shang dynasty. The sect was an expert in the ghost control technique. They dominated a region back then, but nobody knew why they disappeared until Bai Zhanyuan discovered them. There was a formation at the Ghost Rider Sect's mountain gate, so it was difficult for ordinary people to enter. Therefore, Bai Zhanyuan wanted to use her as a blood sacrifice to break the formation after finding out that she had a pure Yin body. However, in Yi Chen's opinion, it would not be difficult to break such a formation even at its peak. Moreover, after so many years, the formation's power was almost exhausted. 6 Ding 6 Armor Formation? Yi Chen chuckled softly and lifted his hand to perform a set of hand seals to break the seal. However, at that moment, Su Yuhan suddenly walked to the core of the formation. Just when he wanted to stop her, he realized that the formation was useless against her. This, Yi Chen thought to himself and went after her immediately. He was worried that something might happen to her. Yi Wushuang went after them while carrying Meng Meng. This time, Yi Chen could see it more clearly. With every step Su Yuhan took, the formation would weaken a little. How is this possible? Yi Chen could not help but be shocked. One had to know that the Ghost Rider Sect's Mountain Gate array had already been activated. Unless one was an array master or a person who created the array, it was impossible for them not to be attacked by the array. 10 minutes later, Su Yuhan had already walked into the formation, and the group entered a long swimming lane. Whoosh! The candles around the walls suddenly lit up, leading to the end of the swimming lane. The walls around the swimming lane were engraved with all kinds of scary ghost faces. Su Yuhan suddenly stopped walking. She looked puzzled. Yi Chen, I think this place is rather familiar. Have you been here before? Yi Chen asked. No. Su Yuhan shook her head lightly and said in a daze, It's my first time here, but I don't know why I find this place familiar as if I've been here before. At this point she paused for a moment before continuing, and I keep feeling that something inside is calling out to me. As soon as he said that, Yi Chen's expression changed slightly. He could not help but turn his head to glance at Yi Wushuang behind him. They saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. At that moment, Su Yuhan walked forward again, and she was walking faster and faster. Slow down, Yuhan. Yi Chen reminded her and caught up with her. More than 10 minutes later, the group reached the end of the passageway. In front of them was a heavy stone door. There were all kinds of patterns carved on the stone door. It looked like a map of hell. There were a few twisted characters on the stone door. Shockingly, it was, Anyone who enters this door will die. Under the illumination of the surrounding candlelight, these 5 words were faintly green, giving off an indescribable eerie feeling. Meng Meng pounced into Yi Chen's embrace, feeling rather scared. Daddy! Wushuang, open the door, Yi Chen said. Yi Wushuang nodded and took 2 steps forward. Subsequently, he pressed his hand on the stone door. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't push it open. Allow me. She stretched her hand out and turned the base of the first candle first, then the 6th candle's base. That's right, Su Yuhan said all of a sudden and walked straight to a row of candles. Boom! With a loud bang, the previously extremely heavy stone door automatically opened with a loud bang. A heavy and oppressive aura came from the crack of the door. Su Yuhan was going in. Yi Chen pulled her back immediately and said in his deep voice, How did you know about the mechanism on the stone door? I've no idea. Su Yuhan looked lost. She shook her head and said, There seemed to be a flash of inspiration in my head and I figured it out. Yi Chen's expression turned grim upon hearing that. Yuhan, let's go back. We're not going in. His instinct told him that something was wrong. Su Yuhan had never been here before, and she was a mortal. However, the Ghost Rider Sect Mountain Gate formation that gave Bai Zhanyuan a headache was useless against her. She even seemed to be very familiar with this place. She even knew about the mechanism on the stone door. To be on the safe side, he decided not to go in. He would come back alone at most. No. Su Yuhan, who had always been obedient, shook her head at that moment. She looked at him with a begging expression. Yi Chen, don't go. The feeling is getting stronger. I must go in. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Sure, but I'll walk in front. Yi Chen nodded and took a step forward. He walked through the gap of the stone door while grabbing Su Yuhan tightly at the same time. An eerie wind blew. A dim stone room came into sight. It was over 300 meters wide like a hall. There were hundreds of luminous pearls embedded in the walls around. However, everyone had their eyes on the stone platform in the middle of the stone room. The stone platform was merely 3 meters tall. It was entirely red, as if it was drenched in fresh blood. Meanwhile, there were some gigantic bronze cauldrons placed around it. The bronze cauldrons were of different shape. There were all sorts of birds, beasts, insects, and fishes carved on them. Emerald flames were coming out of the cauldrons at the moment, giving the entire stone room an eerie feeling. There were countless skeletons scattered under its feet. There were humans and beasts, but most of them had already decayed. It was an altar. Yi Chen's pupils shrunk slightly. The so-called altar was a tool that was used for sacrificial activities. Sacrificial activities existed in the most primitive society on Earth. It was usually a prayer activity that people performed to show respect to God. Especially during the feudal period, sacrifices were often made. These sacrifices could be grains, livestock, or even people. The most typical example was during the reign of King Zhou of Shang, who used living people as sacrifices. Even in the cultivation world, this kind of sacrificial ceremony still existed, but most of them were evil methods, and the objects of the sacrificial ceremony were mostly demons. Yi Chen had witnessed it with his own eyes. An evil sect had destroyed a stellar zone and used tens of billions of people in that stellar zone as a sacrifice to summon an extraterrestrial demon. Su Yuhan wanted to walk to the altar by instinct, but Yi Chen held onto her tightly. He accidentally stepped on a mechanism with his left foot. Ka. The ground immediately trembled, and the entire stone chamber began to tremble. The next moment, not far away from the altar, waves of black gas emerged. As soon as the black gas rose into the air, it turned into black shadows. Illusory faces appeared on the black shadows, accompanied by all kinds of strange cries. All of a sudden, the entire stone chamber seemed to have turned into a ghost town. Hundreds of ghosts were circling around, wailing and howling. Yi Chen protected Su Yuhan behind him by instinct. The spirits that filled the air lingered in the stone chamber. All of a sudden, they charged at Yi Chen with an eerie wind. Chapter 290. The Genius Nanny in the City. Chapter 290. Tens of thousands of ghosts worshipped the strange mural. Urban Romance. Jikikms. Add a bookmark. Recommend this book. Chapter 290. Tens of thousands of ghosts worshipped the strange mural, facing the many ghosts that were charging at him. They were like a tsunami. Yi Chen frowned slightly. He sensed that the resentment in the ghosts was too powerful. Moreover, they seemed to have grown. He could not help but be shocked. However, he was just shocked. It was impossible for them to hurt him. A black flag appeared in Yi Chen's hand as he thought to this point. Just when he was going to put the ghosts away, Su Yuhan's voice came from behind him all of a sudden. Yi Chen, no. He could not help but turn his head to look. He saw Su Yuhan looking at him with a begging expression while biting her lip. Subsequently, she got rid of his hand and walked to him. Yi Chen's lips moved slightly. In the next second, the ghosts that were covering the sky suddenly stopped at the same time as if they had received some order. At that moment they stopped growling. Even the hostility and resentment in them had weakened significantly. They were hovering in the air and observing Su Yuhan quietly. What? Yi Chen's expression turned serious as he looked at the scene before him in slight shock. In the next second, the ghosts landed on the ground and knelt before Su Yuhan at the same time. They were crying as if they were meeting their emperor. To be exact, they were whimpering. Tens of thousands of ghosts worshipped the ghosts. Such a scene was just too strange. No matter how calm Yi Chen was, he could not help but be stunned by what he saw. Yi Wushuang walked to Su Yuhan by instinct. Wushuang, there's no need. Su Yuhan shook her head and said with a blank look in her eyes, they won't hurt me. Although that was the case, Yi Chen and Yi Wushuang dared not let their guard down. Subsequently, she lifted her head to look at the dark ghosts kneeling before her. She said in a deep voice, I don't know why, but I feel like crying too when I hear you guys crying. Sob, 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 gusts of weeping wind blew even more fiercely. The spirits stuck their heads to the ground and let out sorrowful cries, causing the cold stone chamber to be filled with a trace of sorrow. Get up, don't cry, Su Yuhan said with reddened eyes. His voice fell. The spirits stood up one after another, then retreated to the side and remained motionless, creating a path. Looking along the passageway, he saw a skeleton throne behind the altar. The throne was made entirely out of human bones. Su Yuhan's face turned pale when she saw that. Master, there are paintings on the stone wall, Yi Wushuang suddenly said. Yi Chen looked at the stone wall before him by instinct when he heard that. Under the illumination of the luminous pearl, strange murals came into view. The murals were very lifelike. The scene in the first painting seemed to be a deep and serene wasteland. The wasteland's sky was dark. There was no sun, no moon, and only piles of bones as far as the eye could see. The empty eye sockets of these skeletons emitted a dark green light, like a will-o'-the-wisp. Meanwhile, there were all sorts of strange plants growing on the wasteland. There was a plant that looked like a cactus that was approximately the height of a human. There were all sorts of tentacles on it, and there were vaguely resentful ghost faces on it. There was a white skeleton giant that looked like an ape that was 10 feet tall. Reminder: please rest your eyes when reading for a long time. Recommended reading. It's over 10 meters tall, and it's dragging a mountain with one hand as it stands on the wasteland. Is that an undead? Yi Chen's expression was extremely serious. The so-called undead was actually something that was different from ghosts. People only knew that a person's soul would turn into a ghost after death, and their body would turn into a zombie if it rotted. However, they had no idea that even if their body rotted and only a skeleton was left, the skeleton would have consciousness and life again. Yi Chen did not expect to see such a scene on Earth. Moreover, it was in the so-called Ghost Rider sect Mountain Gate. Yi Chen thought to this point. Yi Chen was slightly fearful of the Ghost Rider sect now. He had his eyes on the second mural again. Compared to the previous mural, this one was not as strange. It was a beautiful scene with beautiful mountains and clear waters. Meanwhile, there was a young lady who was approximately 16 or 17 years old in an ancient costume playing the guqin in a small, exquisite pavilion. It looked like a paradise on earth. The young lady wore a veil, and her hair was tied into a bun behind her. Her long hair was like a waterfall, and her delicate hands that were placed on the strings were fair like jade. The young lady had a cold aura, and her eyes were extremely deep. At first glance, she looked like a peerless enchantress that could charm the world, but at a second glance, she looked like an empress who ruled the world. Yi Chen could not help but look at Su Yuhan next to him by instinct as he watched to this point. He had a feeling that the young lady in the painting looked similar to Su Yuhan. Was that a coincidence? Yi Chen clenched his fists tightly as a chill rose within him. He feared the Ghost Rider sect a little more now. It was too strange. Thousands of ghosts worshipped her, and then there was the young lady in the painting. He suppressed his emotions and looked at the third mural again. The person in the mural was still the young lady who was playing the guqin earlier. However, she was in a dark palace at the moment, sitting on a white bone throne. There were ghostly fires floating around her. Meanwhile, there was a sea of people kneeling before her. There was no end to them as far as one could see. Some of the black silhouettes were similar in height to humans, but all of them had green faces and fangs. Some of them were even 300 meters tall like giant. Yi Chen squinted. Is that a demon? Or a ghost? Meanwhile, Murong Yang was dead. Not only that, he was killed by someone. Murong Yang was dead. When someone spread the news, it stirred a storm in Ganzhou. It was no different from an earthquake. One must know that the Murong clan was the leader of Ganzhou. Meanwhile, Murong Yang was the Murong clan's young master. He was favored by the Murong clan's pillar, Murong He. Now that someone dared to kill Murong Yang, was that a declaration of war against the Murong clan and Murong He, the illuminating God Almighty in the spell world? Trash, a bunch of trash. In the Murong clan's ancestral residence in Longxi, the old Murong He looked at the Murong clan's upper echelon kneeling before him with an extremely grim expression. My Murong family has mobilized everyone, yet we still haven't caught that brat. What the hell are you all doing? Hearing this, one of the Murong clan's upper echelons, Murong Yuan, said weakly, "We've locked down all the transportation hubs in Longxi as per your request. We've even asked the county government to send police to help us, but we can't find Yi." That's right. We also heard that Yi Chen is close to a lady named Yu Shasha and a hooligan named Ma Chong. We arrested both of them after that and interrogated them for 2 hours. However, we found nothing, another Murong clan's upper echelon, Murong Nan, said in fear. Murong He threw a cup at them and broke one of their heads. He smirked and said, "So, what do you mean? Yang died for nothing?" He was heartbroken to think that his beloved Murong Yang had died, and that he had to send off his son before him. Old man, since this person could kill the late-stage Dao initiation realm young Master Yang, he must be at least at the peak of the Dao initiation realm. He might even be B. Murong Yuan hesitated. Murong He laughed out of extreme anger. Or what? Maybe he is like me, a spirit realm warrior? Murong Yuan did not say a word. I don't care if this person is on illuminating God or not. No matter what, he killed Yang. He must die. Murong He said again. Murong Nan pondered for a moment and said all of a sudden, "Old master, I'm guessing that Yi hasn't left Longxi yet because we found out that he's bringing me along. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading. Even if my wife and daughter want to leave, they will leave by car. It's impossible for them to walk." He paused as he spoke to this point and suggested, "I heard that the Yi brat is close to Yu Shasha. Why don't we use Yu Shasha to threaten Yi Chen? Let's see if he'll show up." "Sure." Murong He's expression softened as ruthlessness flashed through his eyes. "At the same time, send him a challenge letter in my name. Tell him that I, Murong He, will fight this person on the Longxi River in 3 days. If he doesn't dare to come, I'll kill the little girl named Yu to vent my anger. If he dares to come, I'll kill him before everyone in Ganzhou. I'll let them know that as long as I'm alive, nobody is allowed to challenge my Murong clan." Murong He was going to fight Yi Chen on the Longxi River. 3 days later, as the Murong clan's challenge letter spread, Ganzhou was stirred. Countless people had shock on their faces. Apart from being shocked, countless people went to the hall to discuss the grudge between the two parties. When they found out that Yi Chen was the murderer who killed Murong Yang and the spiritual medicine master, Old Fu, they were so shocked that they could not speak. One must know that Murong Yang was a spell master on mastery stage Dao initiation. Who below illuminating God could kill him? Could this young man named Yi Chen be a spell master too? Apart from being shocked, the people became excited when that thought popped up. If that was the case, would they not have the opportunity to witness the battle between the two illuminating God in the spell world? At that moment, countless people rushed to Longxi. On the spiritual medicine mountain. After hanging up the phone, Yao Bingyue sat hard on the couch. There was shock and disbelief on her pretty face. Murong He is challenging Yi Chen? Yi Chen is the one who killed Murong Yang and Old Fu? That means that Yi Chen is at least a peak stage Dao initiation spellmaster. He might even be an illuminating God Almighty. Her face turned pale as she thought to this point. Regret grew in her heart gradually. I lied to him. I even sent old Fu to kill him. If he comes to take revenge on me. No. She suddenly shook her head hard. He definitely won't live. No matter if he's on peak stage Tao initiation or illuminating God. He's definitely not Murong, he's Matt. Murong he had been famous for decades, and his spell cultivation base was already at illuminating God. That's right. That's it. She could not help but reveal a smirk on her face. I've underestimated you. But so what? You've offended Murong Yang. I'd like to see how you're going to die. P.S. It's a 3,000-word chapter. I can't write anymore. Rest early, everyone. Chapter 291. In the Ghost Rider's Sex main hall. Yi Chen could not shift his gaze away from the painting on the stone wall. The young lady in red sitting on the white bone throne looked too similar to Suyuhan. Her eyes, her brows, and her slender and exquisite body seemed to be carved from the same mold as Suyuhan. The only difference was their aura. Suyuhan was an aloof goddess with the charm of a mature young woman. Meanwhile, the young lady in the painting had a cold and noble aura that seemed to be unintentional. At that moment, the little girl in Yi Wushuang's embrace pointed at the young lady in the painting and said, "Daddy, there's another mommy on the wall." Yi Chen's expression turned grim. He could not help but look at Suyuhan next to him. He saw her staring blankly at the young lady in the painting on the wall. She seemed to be in a daze while her pretty face looked lost. She seemed to be struggling as if she was recalling something. Sweat was dripping from her forehead. If one were to look closer, one would notice that her body was shaking lightly at the moment. She looked like she was going to fall. Yi Chen stretched his arm out to hold her immediately. He secretly transferred some spiritual energy into her body and said in his deep voice, "Are you all right?" "I am all right." Suyuhan stood up straight and said after taking a deep breath in, "Yi Chen, I was hallucinating earlier." "What hallucinating?" Yi Chen's expression turned grim. "I think I entered the painting on the stone wall, the barren land, the tower, and even the palace." Suyuhan held Yi Chen's hand tightly while cold sweat covered the back of her palm. "I saw so many terrifying things. I killed so many people. I didn't want to kill them, but I couldn't control myself. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. I'm here." Yi Chen held her shoulder and comforted, "Forget it. Stop looking. Let's go back." His brows were filled with coldness. Why would an evil sect that existed during the Shang dynasty have such a few strange paintings on the wall? Why did the veiled lady in the painting look so similar to Suyuhan? The coldness within Yi Chen grew when he connected Suyuhan's series of unusual actions since she came in. He was sure that it was not a coincidence. The first thought that popped into his head was that someone was plotting against him and Suyuhan. That was why they set all of this up. But this thought was immediately denied by him. From the moment they entered the door until now, they had not been attacked or harmed at all. Instead, it was as if they were strolling in their own vegetable garden. But the more it was like this, the more uneasy he felt. Could it be reincarnation? He believed that he was invincible on Earth, but he couldn't see through reincarnation and trace back history. No. She shook her head and said while looking away, "Yi Chen, I feel that there's something very important to me here." After saying these words, before Yi Chen could react, she took a step forward and walked toward the altar slowly. In front of her, Wan Hun silently retreated. Yi Chen was about to follow them when the originally quiet spirits glared at him angrily. They bared their teeth as if they were warning him. "Humph, a mere ghost wants to stop me?" Yi Chen scoffed and casually pinched a bolt of lightning. The lightning crackled in his hand. Even though these Yin souls showed fear on their faces, they still rushed towards him. "Don't move," Suyuhan suddenly said. The spirit stopped in its tracks. "Don't worry about me, Yi Chen. I'm fine." Suyuhan turned her head and smiled at Yi Chen. Subsequently, she walked to the altar slowly. She stopped to take a look when she was at the altar. Eventually, her eyes were fixed on the white bone throne behind the altar. The white bone throne was approximately 6 meters tall. There was a black crystal ball on the armrest. Suyuhan paused and walked to the white bone throne. Eventually, she sat on the white bone throne and extended her arm to press on the black crystal ball before her. In the next second, the aura on her body changed. There was an endless coldness and a noble aura. At this moment, she seemed to have transformed into the veiled lady in the painting who looked down on the world. Thud, thud, thud. At this moment, the spirits that were motionless earlier knelt to her at the same time. Their initially ferocious, illusory features became extremely peaceful. Sob, sob, sob. The ghostly wails and howls were heard again. They sounded like they were crying. "Why, Your Majesty?" Deep voices came from their mouths. "Yuhan, come back now." Yi Chen's expression changed all of a sudden. He moved and dashed toward the white bone throne. Roar! As he moved, the spirits that were kneeling on the ground charged at him. Their features became distorted and ferocious again. "Get lost!" A dragon roar came out of Yi Chen's mouth as he was enraged. It was the heavenly dragon's 8 music. A few dragon-shaped energies swept everywhere. The spirits that were charging at him were killed instantly. However, more spirits charged at him fearlessly. They seemed to be trying to stop Yi Chen. "Stop!" At that moment, Suyuhan, who was sitting on the white bone throne, suddenly spoke. Her voice was crisp, cold, and brooking no rejection. As soon as she was done speaking, all of the spirits stopped moving at the same time. Yi Chen then looked at Suyuhan. He saw that there was a black vertical eye between her brows that contained endless ghostly energy. Most importantly, the aura on her had changed. It became a little unfamiliar. Yi Chen also sensed an extremely terrifying power from her. The power was no weaker than when he was in the immortal world. Possession? The thought popped into Yi Chen's head immediately. He shouted angrily while looking at Suyuhan. "Where did this monster come from? How dare you touch my woman? Get out of her body right now." Yi Wushuang's expression changed slightly. He stood next to Yi Chen while carrying Meng Meng. The great thunder sword in his hand released bolts of lightning. Suyuhan lifted her head to look at Yi Chen. There was a hint of complexity in her eyes. She said softly while opening her red lips, "Tiandiyi, your woman is fine. There's no need to panic." "Who exactly are you?" Yi Chen's expression was extremely grim, but a storm was stirring inside of him. Suyuhan lifted her head to take a good look at the entire Ghost Rider sect's main hall. She spoke slowly. 3,000 years ago, the Ghost Rider sect's founding sect leader, Luo Daoyuan, went to a place in his dream. It was a dark place, and all the men there were ugly while the women there were beautiful. Luo Daoyuan went to this world in his dream and saw a lady playing the guqin in the pavilion by accident. He fell in love with the lady just by looking at her. He wanted to talk to her, but he was woken up by the lady's music. Luo Daoyuan went to his dream many times after that. He wanted to enter this world, but he couldn't find it. He could only build the Ghost Rider sect, and carved everything he saw and heard that day in the main hall. Yi Chen took a good look at her. Is the world that Luo Daoyuan is sleepwalking in the Azura realm? He finally understood now. It was no wonder that the murals around looked like that. Only the 6 realms of Azura would look like that. Yes. Suyuhan nodded lightly while her eyelashes fluttered. It's the Azura realm, and I'm the remnant of the Azura king's soul. Your woman is my reincarnation. Yi Chen was shocked. What did you say?